welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And tonight, we are kind of wrapping up, although it's not all the Supermans, we're kind of wrapping up what I would consider kind of like classic Superman. Because what we're going to watch tonight, to me, kind of is a nice bookend to kind of classic Superman with Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh one-off. Well, to the kind of the Christopher Reeve films, even though this, because this is kind of a spiritual sequel in a way, right?
More of a palate cleanser.
Well, as we watched, Quest for Peace last week was rough. This movie is not without flaws, but compared to that film, it's a masterpiece. So.
Yeah, this thing right here, it's really funny because this came out in 2006, and at the very end of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, which we watched last year, which we watched
it feels that long ago.
Week. It's July. Goodness gracious me. The last line that Lex Luthor says is, "See you in 20, Superman."
Oh, gosh.
And that scene was filmed in 1986. 20 years later, the next Superman film released, Lex Luthor is the villain, Superman Returns.
And even, like, Kevin Spacey absolutely doing a Gene Hackman Lex Luthor. It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this...
One little thing.
So you were... What were you, 16 when this movie came out?
15.
15. Okay.
Probably 14, actually, because my birthday's towards the end of the year.
Okay, yeah. Because this one, this movie came out shortly after Tasha was born. Anybody listening, she was on the How to Train Your Dragons episodes. She was born in April of 2006, and so I was a new dad when this movie came out. I'll just say right up front, it is very difficult for me to be objective about this film because this movie has flaws. I know it does. This movie has many issues. Honestly, you could fairly criticize it quite a bit, but I love this movie. I'm such a fan of the Christopher Reeve. Specifically that original film. And this movie is an homage, a love letter, a tribute to that original film in so many ways. And that could absolutely be listed as one of its faults, that it was so concerned with being that it might have missed being its own really good film. And that's a fair criticism. But I don't care. This movie, I talked about it last week, I believe, the little teaser for this trailer, for this film. I think I watched that online dozens and dozens of times. I remember seeing it. I do not remember the movie I was in the theaters seeing when that teaser first came, but I remember in the theaters and just hearing, just the opening note of that John Williams score, and just immediately going like, I know what this is. Oh my gosh! And then just the hearing Marlon Brando's voice and seeing the backlighting of the mailbox with Kent on it, and it just. I'm trying to think of another film that got me. Lord of the Rings was a big deal, and that's it like post 2000. I cannot think of any film that came out that I was more just out of my skin excited to see for this one. There's definitely some Marvel stuff that's been up there. When we talked about this last week, we both have seen the new Superman, the James Gunn one, and I have a lot of things I liked about that movie, but this one, despite all of its flaws, I'm such a nostalgic mess about the Richard Donner film that all those little things just they speak to me on a level, and they make me just not care about the flaws of this film, even though they do exist. And so be prepared for the next 2.5 hours to listen to me basically talk like that. So that's my in a nutshell where I'm at with this movie.
This was a pretty huge one for me as well, because like I grew up loving Superman. I didn't even really watch the Keanu Reeves, the Christopher Reeve
That'd be an interesting
Superman
film.
much. Like I really just didn't. There's no way that people would not be able to tell the difference between Clark Kent and Superman if Christopher Reeve was playing him. Just saying.
If Keanu Reeves is playing him or Christopher Reeves is playing him?
Keanu Reeves. Dang it! Why?
They have
Why?
the same last name. They might as well
Just
be the
because I
same
watched a
person.
video on Johnny Mnemonic today, man. But this was my first Superman movie. My first real Superman movie. I don't remember watching the Christopher Reeve Supermans as a kid, just very vague memories. They weren't that important to me. I watched some cartoons, but my sisters didn't like them, so they would make me turn them off. And things like that. So when this movie came out, I had heard the John Williams Superman music, but I'd never heard the John Williams Superman music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the opening credits to this thing were like amazing to me. They were like a revelation. And so to see the type of the way that Superman could be utilized on the big screen, because I'd seen some Smallville, I'd seen some Lois and Clark, I watched the animated series or the Justice League cartoons whenever I could, but I'd never seen anything like this. And I remember getting really hyped from the trailers. And it's interesting that you bring up that teaser trailer for this thing, because I went and rewatched it, because you did mention it last week as well. Not necessarily on the podcast, possibly just in us talking. But the teaser trailer for Man of Steel is extremely similar. I think that they realized just how good of a teaser trailer Superman Returns did, and they copied it for Man of Steel. And it's a really good trailer, even though it is lacking the Hans Zimmer score that is one of the best parts of that movie, because it hadn't been completed yet. But this movie is incredibly nostalgic for me, because this was my Superman movie for, 7 years.
Yeah.
And
when did
I
Man of
was
Steel
really
come out?
sad.
Was it 12?
Man of Steel came out in 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
The end of 2012. So this movie was incredibly important for me, and still is. Is it perfect? No. And you could even say that it's gotten less perfect as time has gone on, because of other choices that have been made creatively, as well as the legacy of people involved.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know,
I was going to
you want to talk about it? I'll talk about it.
No, I would say if you want to, just anyways, yeah, we'll acknowledge here both Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer. You can give the quick sum up of them, but we'll definitely acknowledge this, and then we're probably not going to bring it up again. So if anybody wants to hear us and our thoughts on the personal choices of actors, is the wrong podcast. But we will acknowledge it here. But yeah, why don't you give us the quick and dirty deets on that?
Yeah, the quick and dirty details on that. Yeah, so this movie is directed by a gentleman by the name of Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer most famously is known for movies, like this one, but mostly X-Men movies. He's the one who did the 2000 X-Men, 2002 X-Men,
X2 United.
X2. I was saying too many twos, and my brain couldn't really comprehend it. 2003 X-Men 2, X-Men United. He did Superman Returns. He did Valkyrie, which is like a really good little war movie, and is actually the reason why a sequel to this movie didn't happen. Things like Jack the Giant Slayer, which is not very good. X-Men Days of Future Past, which is very good. X-Men Apocalypse, which is not very good.
Wait a minute, did he come back and do this?
He hasn't.
Am I totally just like, wow, okay, I forgot that he came back into Days of Future Past.
Well,
Yeah.
X-Men, X-Men, the prequel, First Class.
First Class. That was
was
Matthew Vaughn, right?
Yeah, that was really good. It was Matthew Vaughn. Got Matthew Vaughn on the map, and he got to go make Kingsman. So they needed to get somebody to come and take over after that, and so they hired Bryan Singer again. Bryan Singer hasn't directed anything since he literally disappeared in the middle of making the Freddie Mercury biopic Bohemian Rhapsody.
I
Because
totally forgot that. That's right. He was like,
yeah, he walked off the set one day and didn't come back.
huh.
Because he was essentially going into hiding until his lawyer could figure out all of the sexual assault charges.
Yeah.
Because Bryan Singer likes young boys. And apparently this goes back many, many years, even to harassment in the X-Men movies that caused actors to leave and characters to be cut from final drafts of scripts because of his on-set behavior that was covered up by the studio.
Just as
he's
a weird like nerd
very bad.
reference. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Wasn't I forget the actor's name. He plays like the chief scientist in Discovery. Wasn't he somebody who was like heavily involved in the allegations there? What's his name?
That is correct, but not against Bryan Singer.
Is that Kevin
actor,
Spacey?
yes, that was Kevin Spacey.
Anthony Rapp, right?
Next. Anthony Rapp. That's
Okay,
correct.
I'm sorry.
Anthony
I'm like
Rapp,
jumping
who
around here.
plays Commander Stamets in Star Trek Discovery, one of the best parts of the show. Love him. He helped launch the Me Too movement against Kevin Spacey because of Kevin Spacey's problems with liking little boys as well.
My
And
gosh.
so what we have here is a movie that takes a director who likes little boys and a actor who likes little boys, and they create something that's actually entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
But now
Well,
that we know all that, it can be a little bit difficult to watch for some people.
Yeah. Well, it is hard to appreciate because here's the thing: is they're both talented people. Like Bryan Singer is a talented director. I don't care what anybody says, he is, and Kevin Spacey is a phenomenal actor. But they are not good human beings at all. And I'm glad that it came out. I mean, I was very sad because I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm genuinely sad for the pain that these guys caused, for the fact that they are now tainting something special with the arc they created, and specifically with Bryan Singer, what he added to the genre that we both like so much. This nerd genre. He was actively teasing that he was going to make a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie, which I was really excited about before everything kind of broke. And obviously, I hope this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. The damage that they did to other human beings is far worse than any loss, of a movie not getting made. There's not even a comparison there. So I definitely hope that nobody thinks that. But it is just there's just layers of awfulness and tragedy.
There is a tragedy to a tainted product that is
Yeah.
undeniably pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But when it's sitting there and you're like, well, it's a little iffy, because you have to think about things like
What was
with
going on?
Anthony Rapp and Kevin Spacey, and then with some actors from the original X-Men movie, like the actor who was supposed to play Pyro was going to have a larger part, but dropped out due to harassment.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting here watching this movie, and you have, young male actors like the boy Jason that's in here, and the actor who plays Jimmy Olsen, and you're like, were these poor kids getting harassed behind the scenes?
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's really
But it just adds their actions have created that thought.
Yeah.
And that thought can be infectious and tainting to the product itself. But we don't have to dwell any more on that. We just wanted to acknowledge it because it's pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
And
and especially
it can make some people's enjoyment of this lessen.
And I said this once, I'll say it one more time. If you just can't get past it, I respect that. I understand that. And there's no I wouldn't fight anybody who took that stance. So, but yeah, with that unfortunate disclaimer out of the way, who else was involved in this film that we don't have to worry about?
That we know of. So one of the things I was going to mention is that
Gosh.
this did technically get a follow-up, in the form of the Crisis on Infinite Earths special done by the CW Arrowverse, which was the DC universe started with the TV show Arrow, where Brandon Routh did actually reprise his role as Superman as they're traveling through the multiverse seeking certain characters who were able to help them, and he plays this same Superman from a darker future. And the very last time you see him, he has fixed his world.
He's happy.
He's fixed the broken timeline, and the last time you see him is him flying through space, and he gives the camera that nice little shiny smile.
He has probably in that shot the most full Superman cape that's ever been, right? Like it's it's this massive flowing thing. Like he's kind of holding it. I remember when I saw that, and I loved it because he's got that great smile. It was cool to see him. His suit was brighter, and he had the yellow back in the S, versus the black from the episode. But I just remember just the amount of cloth in his cape was like, wow.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Look at that.
Oh yeah. He looked good. I was watching a ranking Superman suits video, and that actually put that costume as its best, as its number one.
Well,
Basically listed it as the best modern interpretation of the Reeves costume, because basically it's like Reeves' costume but with modern materials. And I'm not sure I would personally put it that high, but I totally respect the point of view.
Well, it's also that particular costume. For those, this could be informative for those who want to understand why they changed the S for the 2025 Superman. There is a Superman costume with that specific S, that was designed by Alex Ross, for a legendary comic book run called Kingdom Come, in which Superman redesigned his S after the destruction of Metropolis and had a black background behind, instead of the yellow, behind the S. And that is the S that we see in the new Superman with Cronsworth. But that one keeps the yellow instead of the black. But the one done by Brandon Routh in the Crisis on Infinite Earths special, I'll call it, multi-series crossover series event, is that legendary, very distinct, dark Superman S.
Yeah.
And so a lot of comic book fans were like, look at how good that is. And
Yeah,
actually, I think I screwed it up saying that it was from Kingdom Come, because I don't know if it was. I don't think it was from Kingdom Come. I think it was from Crisis on Infinite Earths.
No, it is in Kingdom Come. The
okay, yeah.
that very
Yeah,
harsh
stuff.
angular S with the black background. Yeah, it's in Kingdom Come. So, but yeah, but we should jump into this. We got a 2.5 hour film tonight, so
Ooh, wow,
yeah, we're
that's
gonna
a long
have
movie.
plenty of time to and not a spoiler. There's room in this movie to talk. So
There is
is.
room in this movie to talk.
yeah,
I am ready to get going. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and share some sweeties here. What we have here is Superman Returns from 2006. PG-13, 2 hours and 34 minutes long, 15 minutes of which is just credits. Directed by Bryan Singer, written by Michael Dougherty and Dan Harris, with writing credits to Bryan Singer as well. And we have the stars Brandon Routh, Kevin Spacey, Kate Bosworth, one of the problems with this film, unfortunately, James Marsden, Parker Posey, Frank Langella, and Sam Huntington, as well as special appearances by Marlon Brando,
who had been passed away for a while. Now, what's interesting is, we think about like Tarkin in Rogue One and Leia in Rogue One, and kind of bringing back dead actors. This was like one of the first big, high-profile, doing it. But when you do it the way this film did, it doesn't have an uncanny thing because he's in a crystal.
Yeah. Right. No. There's no uncanny valley because it's an old recording.
Yeah, it's just an old recording that they basically did some CG on the mouth to make it, and but also putting it in a crystal makes it where it doesn't have to be, an actual dude standing there. Which, man, I recently rewatched Rogue One after finishing up Andor season 2, and it's such a good film, but man, Tarkin is creepy. Oh,
yeah, just a wee bit.
Yeah, Marlon Brando is not creepy in this film. It actually was pretty cool what they did. So, yeah, let's. I said. We got plenty of time to talk. I got a lot of things to say about this. There is so much. This might be one of the most, after probably Lord of the Rings, this might be one of the most well-documented films ever made. The sheer amount of behind the scenes that exists for this movie,
are
pretty high. I'm going to hit play. Let's get through the credits, and then I do want to talk a little bit about it as we get into, plus the deleted opening in this film that doesn't exist. So lots to talk about.
Yeah.
But please hit that play button with us in 3, 2, 1, go.
So which deleted opening are you talking about?
Where he's flying around in his spaceship in the wreckage of Krypton.
That was storyboarded, but it wasn't filmed.
Oh no, it's 100%. Go look it up. It's basically finished. Why they cut it is weird. Because
I remember watching deleted scenes. I remember some interesting deleted scenes, in fact, but I do not remember that on it.
You should. Okay, go look again because. It's basically finished special effects of him in a larger version of the ship that took him to Earth in the old, Christopher Reeve film, and he's navigating, shows him using crystals and kind of navigating through, and his ship gets damaged, and that's how he makes it back to Earth, but his ship barely makes it because here we have the opening. So it's interesting that this movie wasn't marketed well, unfortunately, as this is a spiritual sequel to 1 and 2, ignoring 3 and 4. Although, as we'll talk about many points here, even though it's supposed to be a sequel to 2, it just flat out ignores certain parts of 2 that, conflict greatly with what happens in this film. Specifically,
you mean like the memory wipe kiss?
Well, there's that, but also the fact that Luther's he's been to the Fortress of Solitude already. He went there in 2. And this movie, he goes there and he's here it is. It was.
Well, I mean, he was taken there, but that doesn't mean that he knew exactly where it was.
Well, he did. Remember, he had the tracking thing in the hot air balloon. Right. He literally, Mrs. Tessmacher, north, Mrs. Tessmacher.
But he it does acknowledge that he's been there. This movie does acknowledge that he's been there.
I know, but it's just barely. It seems like this opening is cool, by the way.
Well, yeah, the opening's really cool. The reason why we suddenly went quiet is because we just got to see the destruction of Krypton.
Yeah,
and it's
this. Okay, I think I said this last week, the week before. I literally sat in the theater. I do not cry. You can ask my wife. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I'm broken. I just don't. But I sat in the theater with actual tears going down my face with this opening. That's so much this score, seeing these, is they recreate the vibe of this. That note hits that. Oh. And
no, this was a revelation for me seeing this. I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
My mom, I saw it with my parents, and she was the same way. I don't know if she was crying, but she was transported back.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't sobbing, but I was very emotionally moved. There was definitely moisture on my face. It was just this was the moment of just my childhood, because I'd never seen Superman on the big screen. I had seen the Richard Donner film. I mean, probably 50 times in my life. I said it before. They're the trilogy of my childhood in live action was the Superman, 1977 Superman, Wrath of Khan, and Top Gun. I know you don't care about Top Gun, but those were those three. And I saw this in theaters, and it was amazing. My sister later this same year surprised me with tickets to go see Wrath of Khan in theaters at kind of a special screening. So I got to see Wrath of
Yeah,
Khan
yeah, yeah.
in theaters, which was amazing. And then
I got to do that for my sister's birthday a few years ago.
nice. And then when Top Gun Maverick came out, I was one of those people who sat there in the theater listening to the music hit and was just like, So I got, but this was like the first out of that trilogy that just sitting there in the theater was just like, it moved me genuinely.
Yeah, I genuinely would say, like, James Gunn used this John Williams motif in his Superman film several times, but I kind of wish that he'd actually done an opening like this.
Yeah.
Because this was, as I want to say, like, transformative or a revelation to me as seeing a Star Wars film in theaters for the first time.
Yeah.
And hearing that needle drop. And needle drop's the wrong word on that. The fanfare.
Yeah.
It was
I know what you mean.
incredible. And there are very, very few movies that have been as awe-inspiring to me as hearing this music during this opening. And I wish that we could see more of that.
Yeah. I don't think every movie needs to have a whole big opening title sequence, but I do kind of miss the occasional just that big bombastic, title sequence to just introduce you to like this film. Even Lord of the Rings had the you have a little bit of dialogue and then you get that score swells and you get the black screen and then the reveal of Lord of the Rings in the font and then back. Even something as simple as that can be the effective prepare yourself for what you're about to see. Just that subtle just sense that this is going to be special. And I wish it was done, not all the time, but occasionally. Although we have that amazing opening and then this, which is kind of an interesting tonal shift.
Yeah, when I was rewatching this, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it, I'm like, oh, I thought that it went straight to Ma Kent for some reason.
Nope.
I forgot that it jumped here. And I think that it is a little bit out of order. I get why, but, hearing that Lex Luthor is, banging some old lady for her money is a weird tonal shift.
Yeah.
And it is one of my problems with this movie.
Yeah. If they had started at the farm and then cut to this, it would have worked better.
Yeah. I bet that there were tons of discussions about it in the editing. That's a great little, show don't tell of him, just like the body language of him scribbling the rest of her thing. The throwing away the ring was a little much, but it gets the point across really well.
Well, they
But
definitely
you can tell how just gross this man is.
Yeah, he's the one thing I will say in this movie, and I've said this, Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor is one of the things that's I've never loved about the Donner Superman. But I do think Kevin Spacey does actually a pretty good Gene Hackman Lex Luthor thing here, in that he is that Gene Hackman, combination of intelligent and a little bit crazy and a little bit wacky. Just there's
Like
a little bit
a
of
con man
wackiness
writ
to him.
large,
Yeah. Because this isn't like the business tycoon Lex Luthor that became more popularized later. This although his plan is just the original Superman's Lex Luthor plan again.
Yeah, actually, not again. The opposite.
Yeah, it's true. We're gonna make land. Well, he was gonna make beachfront property. He was, he was gonna, it was a big remodel.
Well, there's a really fun Easter egg when he's showing the maps at the end of his future landmass, and the only remainder of the United States is the negative area that was supposed to fall into the sea in the original. So when we get there, I'll point that out. But
this,
they should have cut to this scene,
yeah,
right?
they should have. This would have been such a
Wouldn't
better.
it have made sense?
Yeah. So Ma Kent here. This is So I was raised on classic films. This is Eva Maria Saint who plays Ma Kent here, and she was very famous. She was in one of Alfred Hitchcock's biggest films, North by Northwest, with Cary Grant back in the day, and it was the co-star with him. She was like this very kind of classic, iconic actress from 50s through 70s, and it was just cool to see her, as kind of this legacy, kind of Hollywood giant brought back to to do this small role, but did it really well. Because they didn't give her a lot to do,
Yeah.
but she definitely has like a kind of a charm and warmth, and just she kind of hits that Midwestern, because again, she doesn't get very much. She's not in this movie very much, but I did like that they gave someone like her this role.
Yeah, and I really like how they treat Ma Kent in here. She's a kind of a bit part. She's sidelined a little bit, but she's also incredibly important to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I've realized as time has gone on, like how important that character is. The entire TV show of Superman and Lois, the instigating event of that entire thing is the death of Ma Kent. That entire show, and it's done really well, emotional even. Like I felt like I was going to get choked up watching it. Partially because I'm just into Superman, but it's well filmed. There's a gravitas to it. You can sense the importance and all this stuff. And then Annette O'Toole's character evolution as Ma Kent in Smallville is excellent, which also might make one a little bit mad at James Gunn's choices when it comes to her, but that's a whole different thing.
One thing I've appreciated about Superman is that it has, over the years especially, and depending on the iteration, both Jonathan and Martha have very, very powerful roles. I feel like the legacy of Superman doesn't promote one at the expense of the other. Like, they both, I mean, obviously Jonathan Kent plays a huge role in his son's life, but Martha does also. It's just both parents get a lot of energy and attention and influence in who Superman is. And I try to think of most of the time in writing characters where a parent is a big deal, one parent is heavily favored over the others. And throughout the years, Superman has really found room for both to be very important to his development and his character and his ongoing story.
I like how that was handled in the Man of Steel movies. Zack Snyder's Superman movies, I should say. They did really well with making Ma Kent kind of a grounding force in his life, while also making Jonathan Kent very important. And I didn't really like some of the way that they portrayed Jonathan Kent, but at the same time, I think they did do a very good job at crafting a good character.
Yeah.
With Kevin Costner. And yeah.
What needs to make creepy friends to survive? Yeah.
Now, there was a deleted storyline actually about his henchman. One of the henchmen, people will recognize him, is Cal Penn.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
More than just a lot of stuff. The dude was named an ambassador by the Obama administration. It's the reason he left the show house. Most would know him from the raunchy comedy Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. He was Kumar. He was the inspiration for the character of Raj in The Big Bang Theory. And he was on the show House and a number of other things.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to have a larger role in this. He was supposed to play a scientist who actually was like some sort of contract liaison person with the Daily Planet, and he was supposed to have some role where he was in prison because they discovered that he faked a study about Krypton and said that there was evidence of Kryptonians still alive, or the planet wasn't totally destroyed or something. And it was specifically to get Superman away from Earth in a really convoluted scheme by Lex Luthor. And I'm really glad that they cut that, because it really doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I mean, this Lex is all about over-the-top convoluted plans, but yeah, it would have been... If they had kept anything, it should have been the, keeping that opening sequence with Clark in the ship. But they really, the kind of modern retake on this aesthetic, the kind of Crystal Fortress of Solitude, and I think they really did a good job. I'm not sure how much this is practical versus how much of it obviously is filling with CG, but I feel like they get that grandeur, just the scale, the size of the crystals. I've always liked the overly geometrical style of this Fortress of Solitude with the crystals kind of overlapping versus just kind of, it's interesting in the new Superman, it's there, but it's, they definitely tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is heavily, influenced by my own nostalgia, but I feel like this was a really good update on the original aesthetic for the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, and I believe that they even used some of this, the data, some of the effects and modeling and all that for the Fortress of Solitude in Smallville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They absolutely did.
Well, Smallville actually reused a lot of the stuff from Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Some of the crystal props, some of the visual effects, even, but mostly they used Brandon Routh's Superman costume and the series finale.
Yep. I will say one thing I appreciate, even though Lex got past it without any problem. Lex, the Fortress of Solitude needs a little security improvement.
Right?
It's very trusting.
It is. They even break into it in the new Superman.
That's what I was saying.
Back in the day, Superman had a freaking key. Okay.
Yeah.
And only he could lift it because it weighed like 30 tons.
Yeah, it was like made out of like neutronium or some exotic material that nobody else could. He just left it laying in the snow next to the door because nobody could do it. So here we go. We got Marlon Brando, back from the dead. Man,
and they're using some dialogue that wasn't in the first one as well. Like they had some older recordings that weren't used.
Yeah, but to say, because there's no new recording. I mean, they obviously, in a lot of behind the scenes, they showed how they digitally made his face, kind of updated and made it work with his dialogue, because not all of this was recorded with a camera, so they had to combine some footage, and then they said it's in crystals, so they don't, it works really well. Again, this is total nostalgia bait, but at the same time, Marlon Brando was a massive part of the first Superman. I mean, he got top billing, and at the time, Marlon Brando is again a really an interesting human being, but a big actor and a very talented actor. So it was getting him back here, and the back and forth, the close up on the faces, they kind of kept zooming in. It's interesting here. I mean, Bryan Singer, he's a talented filmmaker. And it's interesting because this movie has a combination of some really cool, cinematography and some really cool lighting and color and just vibrancy, and it also gets really kind of drab at times. It's interesting how there's not a consistency there.
I would like to point out that the stars on the ceiling are astronomically correct.
What's with the one red one? Was that Krypton or is that our star?
I'm not actually positive on that.
Okay. So I do love. I know they recreated the farm here. They actually planted a couple hectares of corn, and they did this. They did this right. This whole set. This is so picture perfect. Even though this is up in Canada, I believe, where they did this whole thing.
Which is where the original was built as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things about it is they planted that corn. And then they sold off the corn in order to help with the budget, which Christopher Nolan did the exact same thing
for Interstellar.
For the movie we'll be watching next week, Interstellar.
Oh, give it away.
It's okay. People who have listened this far.
We did get this fun flashback.
But here we also start to see. Here we start to hear. That whole sentence just doesn't sound right in my mouth. We are now getting the music that is not done by John Williams and is meant to show a little bit more of what the composer John Ottman was going for in his own right. He is a pretty decent composer in and of himself. He composed he composed for this. He composed Fantastic Four from 2005, which did actually have a pretty decent score. He did the X-Men and X-Men 2 movies. He took the the old 90s cartoon X-Men music and transformed it into something big like that. He pretty much did everything with Bryan Singer.
Yeah. So this whole
And,
sequence, I was talking about, it's interesting. So this sequence there is some incredibly good effects work in this film, and there's some moments where you're like, ooh, didn't get that one just quite right. This sequence we just watched, I think, is a good combination because there's behind the scenes of the kid on a rig, like a jumping rig, going through the corn, and a lot of that looked really good. But then there's times where it cuts to a full CG replacement, and you definitely get a little bit of that Rubber Man kind of look and feel, like right after he hit the windmill and kind of tumbled, and it's like, ooh, okay, that looked like a video game cutscene for a second. I love this whole the dog, the dog, like, hey, that shot right there, that's a good shot. Sorry.
The uncanny valley is present in this film for sure.
There's a few shots of Brenna Routh that just do not look good. And which is weird because they did so much work with him on rigs. I mean, he spent weeks in a flying rig doing pose, moving around and then there's they didn't use most of it, which is strange to me because the technology's there, and when they go full CG, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of when the big multiple agent Neo fight with Keanu in the second Matrix film.
Yeah, the Smith Brawl.
Yeah, the Smith Brawl, where it turns into, again, it looks like a video game cutscene. Or just very kind of rubber bandy and just a little bit waxy looking, and it's just I wish they hadn't done it, and it's a shame because the other effect sequences that look good, and we'll talk about the plane sequence when we get through that. It's so good that it's a shame that they did choose to go full CG as often as they did because it didn't look good at the time, and especially watching this in 2025. I mean, it's been we're coming up on 20 years. It shows its age very poorly at this point, unfortunately.
It does indeed. It does.
But this, all this stuff is good. Like just their interaction. It's and Brenna Routh, he really nailed, because he really gets there's like three people kind of forget. You always think Clark Kent and Superman, right? There's a third character. There's Superman at home, because Superman at home is not Clark Kent, not in the way he is in Metropolis. When he's at home and he's in call him civilian clothes or his regular farm clothes, but he's with his parents, you almost could argue that that's his truest person, right? In some ways.
I don't even think that's an argument. I think that is something that has evolved from the character to just be truth of the character.
Yeah.
That Clark Kent has, pretty much from the moment that he learned who he was as a Kryptonian and that he was a little bit more than what he thought he was, Clark Kent has become an act of veneer.
Yeah.
Superman is just as much of an act in his veneers because he needs to be this symbol of hope for people, and he needs to work through all this stuff so that he remains continually optimistic. This isn't where Bruce Wayne is the total act and Batman is the actual person. This is where it's the place in between. The real person, and this is something that they did really well in the new Superman movie with James Gunn, is that he's Kal-El. That's his identity. And he has multiple secret identities around that.
So
anyway, I just talked through all that.
No, it's great. I completely agree with you. Yeah, and that's where I do always love those scenes where he's at home. So this whole, we're getting. What is the actor's name who plays Jimmy Olsen in this movie?
I was about to say Frank Langella.
That's Perry White.
And I'm like, no, wait, that's Perry White.
Yeah.
I know his name. Give it to me. I think it's Huntsman is his last name, but I remember him mainly as Mimi Siku. Okay. Sam Huntington. That was it.
He does a fantastic job. He's really that.
So good.
Jimmy Olsen, he's supposed to be young and, kind of eager and kind of a people pleaser. I love that they went like with the bow tie, but he is a smart go-getter. He's a, they really nail, I think, the balance between him being kind of silly and kind of overeager and a little bit klutzy, but also, a good guy who you can depend on and a great friend and somebody who looks up to Clark. And yeah, but this whole, and Brandon Routh, he nails the Clark persona in this film. I really do, because you can also see even the subtleness of when he's not interacting with somebody else here. He's a little more confident. He's just kind of looking. And then as soon as he's interacting with somebody else, he's just immediately, got that Christopher Reeve, style, a little bit, unsure, and kind of stumbles over his words. And, but it's just like this right in this scene when he was talking to Jimmy and talking to Perry White. And then here as he's kind of looking through Lois's desk, there's all these little subtleties in his Clark performance that I really think he really did a good job. I genuinely think outside of Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh was the best Clark Kent. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not trying to say definitively, but for me, he is.
Oh, I agree. I really liked David Cronsworth, but I also felt like he needed to change his voice a little bit as Clark Kent. He was a little bit too... His voice was a little bit too deep and booming as Clark Kent. Also, you should watch Superman and Lois because Tyler Hoechling's Clark Kent is fantastic.
Okay. I do need to see more of that
That's one of those
show.
things, like, he's one of the, he's an active parent in his children's high school years. So he's going to be a chaperone on a field trip. He's going to be an assistant coach on the football team. And he just has that, dopey look of, I'm just happy to be here. And
Nice.
It's really good. And then the moment he turns to Superman, he gets a look that makes him look genuinely dangerous. Really quite good.
Okay. Yeah, that is a show I need to see more of for sure.
I honestly think, if we had the time to do it, I would have wanted us to do the pilot of that around this time as well for comparisons, because of how much they take from Superman, especially Superman 3 and Superman 4, just in the pilot episode, and do it better.
So this whole set, oh my gosh.
Oh, this is a great set.
I mean, this is one of those that, I love it, and also it's you spent how much money on this? Oh my gosh.
Okay, Brent, have you ever met a model train person?
Not in real life. I've seen YouTube videos of them, and they're interesting people.
I've met a couple of them. There was a guy who has unfortunately passed away now, who's part of my dad's church. He was a keyboard player. He was a model train guy, and he had something like this in one of his rooms. It is a passion for some people to build these insane train models, and it's incredible. I feel like if I'd been born 50 years earlier...
Interrupt you. This is a cameo, right? Isn't this like the original Jimmy Olsen here?
That is the original Jimmy Olsen from the Adventures of Superman serial.
Okay, I thought I remembered that, and I just wanted to,
Jack Larson, he's commented. He is credited here as Bo the bartender. But in the 1952 to 1958 Adventures of Superman serial, he played Jimmy Olsen. He also appeared in a single episode of Lois and Clark in the 90s during a time travel episode as old Jimmy Olsen.
Okay. I do love, by the way, so Henry Cavill is famous for being a beer drinking Clark. Well, right here we have Budweiser drinking Clark also. Just saying.
Yeah. People got so bent out of shape about so many things about Man of Steel that are unfair. There are some genuine criticisms of that movie to have, but I think that it's underappreciated by many people. So here we have the introduction of Kate Bosworth as Lois Lane, which Kate Bosworth is not a bad actress. She was the wrong choice. There's a problem with casting Lois Lanes sometimes, especially in this era. And she's not great, but the thing about it that makes it rough is that when she was filming this, she was 23 years old.
Yeah.
So she would have had to be a successful reporter banging Superman at 16.
Yeah, it's a little...
Or 17. It's a little, she's obviously supposed to be in her 30s in this movie. But you can't hide her youthfulness, okay?
He just drops it in the lake.
Yeah. and
Sorry.
she doesn't have that spunk. She doesn't have that spark
She just
for
I mean,
Lois Lane.
I don't say this casually. She just kind of comes across bitchy in this movie. And it's just an odd. Yeah, like there's a difference between having an edge, like an actual edge, and being kind of just a brat. And that's kind of how she comes across to me. I mean, that's a very
Okay, yeah. I would say she comes across as bratty because what they're trying to go for is bitter,
yeah.
passionate and bitter.
Yeah, well,
But it doesn't come through quite well.
there's not a nuance there. I mean, I think there's a moment or two where there's some decent moments or two with her, but yeah, for the most part, yeah. But this whole okay. Now, did they actually destroy this set? Because it would have been like, oh, sad. It is interesting though.
I mean, I'm pretty certain they did because they show it in detail because the entire use of the destruction of the train set city is supposed to be a kind of it's another one of those show don't tell.
Yeah.
What happens to the train set is what will happen to the world
Yeah.
if this crystal and its other types are unleashed.
Yeah. I do like the tie here of that Lex Luthor screwing with this is what actually causes the event here with the shuttle and the plane. Like, I appreciate that they tied it together without like Lex trying to do this, but him being just his own, doesn't care about the consequences self, causes this problem.
Yeah, it's very tightly written that way. This beginning is very tight.
Well, and we get to this sequence. The movie's done this in less than a half an hour. So, like, reintroducing the character, reintroducing you to Lex and all this, and it gets to this first and best action scene in the film, pretty quickly, honestly, for a Superman film.
Yeah. One of the big problems with this movie is that it peaked too soon.
Yeah. And there's definitely some standout bits of action later, which, I'll happily praise. But as a sequence, the movie never gets better than this, and that is definitely one of its problems.
Well, I said this in some of my other some of our other Superman videos, and people who know me as a person, I've said this 100,000 times. They probably just never want to hear it out of me again. I believe that Superman shouldn't be played as some sort of great warrior punch 'em up. I think that it's cool when he does have punch 'em up moments. You don't want to shy away from that, but that shouldn't be his main thing. I think that he is best portrayed as like a firefighter, a superhuman firefighter. And this movie is the ultimate incarnation of that for me. And it's one of the things that I love about it. I just wish that my main problems are with the ending, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that this, would you actually call it a Deus Ex Machina or just a convenient, this no longer applies because we don't want it to anymore type thing at the end?
Well, which one?
Well, just the entire, like, let's wait till we get closer to the ending. But basically, just how the rules with Kryptonite just seem to magically change because he just wills him not to. I'm just too mad to let it stop me this time. I'm too driven to let it stop me. I mean, we've established
that there is a difference between. I think that if I was writing it, if you have that mentality of I am going to die and you're okay with it, you can do more things than you ever thought you could. Yeah. So him like struggling through it with the expectation that he is going to be struggling through it, because the difference between him being surprised and oh no, ready. He's been shocked, he's been surprised, he wasn't ready, versus I am ready for this and I am going to die fighting this with every ounce of my strength.
It's just one of those, like,
it's different.
The physical exertion to lift a landmass that size out of orbit, and not just like put it into orbit, but like get it like escape velocity, like just the physics involved in that, or anyways.
The physics involved are total bullshit.
Well, let's enjoy this sequence. This this one of these pilots? He's like a famous, like, owns Virgin Atlantic or something. Isn't some famous billionaire?
Wait, is Charles Bronson?
Yeah, right there.
Is Bronson in this?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait a second here.
Yeah, I think they'll show him again.
I need to find that out.
Little pop.
It's absolutely normal.
The one thing I do love in this movie, so one of the criticisms not it's not a criticism. It's just a personal preference thing because there's nothing objectively wrong with it. I didn't like in the new Superman how much he flew with his arms back. I've always loved the kind of classic, arms out flying pose, and in a lot of the shots in the new James Gunn Superman, he's kind of flying with the hands back by his side, kind of head face in front, and especially because James Gunn shot that with a lot of close-ups. This movie really has Superman quite literally kind of punching through the air, and there's some shots where he's like out, fists balled up, just like sonic booms happening off of him, and I just love that. This sequence, it gets the violence of Superman's flight at times, where you just like the speed and the acceleration as he's just like boom and then boom, as he changes direction and goes this way, and because he's fast. And I think this movie, this sequence, I think really nails Superman's, and it doesn't in long enough takes to really kind of showcase it, because I think a lot of the sequences in both Man of Steel and the new Superman chop up his flight a little bit too much for my liking, where they make it seem very kinetic, and it's good filmmaking. Again, it's more of a preference thing. I'm not trying to say objectively one or the other, but I love the longer tracking shots of Superman flying in this sequence coming up.
I think you need to rewatch Man of Steel then, because that has some of the most, like, the best. They definitely do that later in Batman versus Superman, Justice League, and such, but Man of Steel has some amazing flying sequences, and some of it does have that uber kinetic feel, but some of it is that just like, I remember the teaser trailer, right? I rewatched it recently. It has that scene where it just kind of follows him through.
There is that,
as he's like a dot, and he goes like up into the atmosphere with the sonic boom. It's perfect. Yeah. So this scene, for those of you who might not have seen this, if anybody's listening to this and hasn't seen Superman Returns and is just listening to us for kicks and giggles, go
I'm sorry.
go watch the just go on YouTube or something and watch the plane rescue sequence from Superman Returns. It is, in my opinion, it's probably the best. Just if they made a short film that was just the essence of Superman, it's this.
Yeah.
It's so good. And yes, you were right. That is Sir Richard Branson.
Yeah.
As the shuttle pilot. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's a weird dude, but he's done a lot for the furtherance of science, actually, and entertainment and special effects.
I did like that that moment of her recognition. Like, wait a minute.
Because this is the first time we're seeing him. The lighting is really good here for being comped in. I really liked the moment when Lois doesn't buckle in order to help another person. That's a really good little character moment. That's not overly dwelled on, but also creates the context as to why she's out of her seat and having problems.
Yeah. I like the immediate, that this Superman, he solves problems too. Again, he's not just, the idea of like, all right, I got this, I'm going to stay still, use my heat vision. I also like that his vision is less, looks like laser beams in this, and is more like actual heat, kind of a closer to like what Smallville did for the style.
I think that they took the cues from Smallville. I know that there was some coordination between Smallville and Superman Returns so that things weren't so radically different, because they were both kind of based on the same foundation of the Reeves Superman. And part of that was the heat vision, but also that heat vision was... it wasn't cheaper, but apparently it was a little bit easier to do. Like, to make look good.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. And it's, I've heard this two ways. And I think they both work just fine, depending on how you look at it. Mm-hmm. That Superman deliberately takes the wings off to make it easier to control. Or that this is like he's trying to stop it, the wing snaps, like, all right, I got to shift plans here. I mean, either one works for me.
I think in this scene, he's trying to stop it spinning.
Yeah, he's trying to get it
gliding again. It's possible that he's
again.
Trying to get the wing off, but I don't think that he intentionally takes the wing off. I think this is him trying to stabilize it and turn it into a glider.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I do think that this sequence is the best ever at being realistic about the physics of somebody the physical size of Superman exerting the kind of force that he can exert. You know, as far as
Yeah, because he's not using his full power because he doesn't want to break the wing. But oh crap, noodles, he broke the wing.
He broke the wing.
So because here's the issue when you're dealing with something like this, okay? If you wanted to save this plane, what you need to do is 1, slow it down. 2, stop it tumbling. He was trying to turn it into a glider by stopping its spin, but the wing was too weak, it failed, and it went into a death spin. That is the exact opposite of what you would want to happen. If you take a look at like Sullenberger and the landing the plane in the Hudson and other plane crashes, that's the issues that you end up running into. The moment you're in a spin, you're dead.
Yeah.
But if you're able to turn something into a glider, it's easier to control.
Yeah. I love that he kind of just pancakes it for a second, you know, just it gets there, and then and then he has to all right, I gotta because again, he could stop this, but if he stopped this too fast, he'll kill everybody in it.
Yeah, he needs to slow it down with its descent. But that one scene that I was talking through of him circling the plane, that's like the Superman shot for me. If I was going to point out one single Superman shot in all of the films that I think is just the best, it's that one. It's amazing.
I love that he went through the skin. He's like in on the frame of the whole thing. It's good.
Yeah, everything about this whole sequence. I love the ripple of the hull of the plane as he's slowing it down. Yeah. The fly up alarm, like the whole thing. And just all this. The shoes are a little weird to me, though.
Yeah, so you want to talk about this suit for a second?
You mean the single best Superman suit that they've ever put on film?
You think so?
I do.
I mean, I really like this suit. I think this suit is genuinely good. So I like the simple neckline. I like that the tape's just clucked. You know, it's weird because this suit is such a weird combination of over detail but also simple. You know, it's like if you get close up, there's a texture on it that close up you can see, but by distance it just looks like a nice material. The S is a little more like it's thicker, but I love that.
It's a 3-dimensional thing. I wish it was a little bigger.
Yeah, it needs to be like 10% bigger. I do think that
maybe just like an inch higher on his chest.
Yeah, I think the cape material, I don't. It's not my favorite. I think it's a little too leathery, if that makes sense.
I actually really like that.
Really?
That's a me thing, though. I think it's great. I love the cape. I don't think it looks like you just took a. It looks like an alien material to me. It doesn't look like you just took a red blanket or a red tablecloth and threw it around your back.
Yeah.
Because that's always been one of my biggest problems with Superman costumes is the cape looks goofy. If it's done wrong. This cape, it's a little bit deeper red, a little bit more textured. It has a gravitas to it that I really appreciate. But that's me thing.
No, that's right. And again, I mean, this suit is still like top 3 for me. Like I don't by any means dislike it. But the boots are a tiny bit busy as far as just like there's the logo on the heel. And a lot of detail in them.
Stuff like that. The boots are a little weird to me, but the rest of it, I love the coloring. I like that the S is a little 3D. I think that how they did the S in the most recent Superman movie is a little bit better. Which I think that they learned from Man of Steel also. It's a little bit raised, but it's flat, where this one's a bit rounded.
Yeah.
I really like... I like the look. Yeah. I like the classic S. I like the colors. I like that it looks like it's actually made from an alien material.
Yeah. Well, this whole film, aesthetically, like design-wise, they kind of... You can tell they were trying to go for a little bit of a timeless look, that this could be in the 50s, this could be modern day, this could kind of... You know, it's a little bit of an Art Deco, but a little bit of just a blank... You know, it is... You couldn't nail down exactly, like, you know, what decade in America this belongs to, which I actually... Some people don't like that, and that's perfectly fine. I do like that. And I feel like his suit fits that well, where you could make it like this is a kind of a futuristic suit, this is kind of a classic suit. It kind of works either way, just like the design of the rest of the film. So,
yeah.
I also
there's some really good.
I was gonna say this is a weird thing. I don't like her glasses. Like the idea that she's got like the old lady glasses like on the string. I think it's a weird contrast to how young she is.
They're copying Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
Because they even just had that moment where she asks how many F's are in catastrophic.
Yeah.
Because Margot Kidder's
Oh yeah, it's one
Lois
of her
Lane
things.
couldn't spell. So even her clothing, she is supposed to be Margot Kidder's Lois Lane.
Yeah. 15
She
years
has
younger.
such a baby face. She has such a baby face.
Yeah.
It really takes you out of it.
Because Brandon Routh is what, like 26 in this movie? He's young also, but he looks older than that. Like they're able to age him up to where, you know, if you said he's 30, 32, you wouldn't think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, introduction to the son.
He was born in 1979. So at this point, he would have been, 27.
Yeah, he's just a few years older than I am.
Yeah. So fun thing about him in this particular dress, or not dress, but character, his eyes are brown and he's wearing blue contact lenses, which he already wore contacts, so it was no problem for him, because you hear a lot about actors like the Harry Potter actor who couldn't wear contacts because he was like allergic to them, and that happens a lot, and people having discomfort with contact lenses and yada yada yada. He was fine with it, but apparently it messed with his peripheral vision.
I do like the little that it was good line delivery there as she goes through like the 4 medications that he takes. And he's like, yep. Just like, and it's a tiny bit of storytelling that is like, you know, he's, you know, he's a little fragile.
And they're used to it, you know? Yeah. And there's this, I love that, to be honest, because spoilers, everybody, it is revealed that child is the son of Superman.
So did you take that as the reason they were able to have a son is because that was when they boinked when he didn't have powers in Superman 2?
Never even thought of that. I figured it was just hand waving.
Oh, well,
I don't think
Superman
they're really
2,
thinking about the. I know. I remember that. I think that is supposed to be the thing, but I think it's just supposed to be if Superman bangs a chick, she can have a super kid.
Yeah. Well, because the idea that he's. Well, I think that's the thing is that he's not like, you know, he's not lifting, because I mean Superman, Kal-El, when he got to Earth, I mean he was lifting a car at this size, and obviously this kid's not, you know, accidentally doing that kind of thing, and so I feel like the idea that he has Kryptonian DNA but he's not, you know, that there's something there. There's some a little bit different.
I got a spiel. So what this is Superman lore that was established between the Superman movie in the 70s and modern Superman that is bleeding into this. And it's actually referenced, you see it in Man of Steel. I think that it's actually talked about in either Batman versus Superman or Justice League. I can't remember which one. But one of the things that ended up getting incorporated into the comics is that when Kal-El first came to Earth, he was sick all the time. He was having trouble. His powers were developing, but he couldn't control them. He didn't understand them. He wasn't used to human viruses. And so, like, if you stuck him out in the sun for a really long time, he'd end up feeling better. And if Jason was out in the sun, he'd probably be doing much better, also absorbing solar radiation. But he's probably very sheltered because of the way that his parents treat him, because he's fragile, right? Superman lore has established that when he's a child, he's weak and sick because he's adapting to Earth. And so for him to have a child, this is a child that needs certain Kryptonian things, and thus he needs he's going to develop very similar to Superman, and so he's going to start fragile and increase in strength as time goes on.
Okay, well that makes sense. I do like that shot of everybody. It was one of those shots that I'm always a sucker for, like a well kind of staged shot there of everybody reading the paper and them in the back corners kind of, you know, not reading. It just you know, it works. Again, the awkwardness. It
felt very classic.
Oh yeah. Well, there are definitely parts of this movie that feel like they were filmed in the 70s. Like they have that old school pacing and framing. You can tell that Bryan Singer was trying to evoke that style of filmmaking with this film.
And one of the things, actually, that scene always stood out to me right then as he's talking to her going down the front steps, because you could hear the voice change. It suddenly sounds echoey as he's going through this part of the foyer. And that would be because they were filming like with boom mics and everything. This wasn't ADR.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that Bryan Singer does well, is that he gets people to record their performances right then so they don't need to do voice touch-ups later. But you can actually hear the environment around them sometimes, sort of even to the detriment of the sound quality, like in that moment. But
Yeah.
it was still good. It felt more real, like you were actually walking with them.
Yeah. Oh, I like all this though too. Just that feel of you feel like you're here. I like the design of the front of the Daily Planet. You know, kind of the Art Deco again, and like the windows, the globe. I think looks really good, like the Daily Planet globe, and just I like this too. So this is where you either you kind of I see. Oh man, the CG there doesn't look good. The moment they're establishing here, I like that they give Superman moments to breathe. And this is not for everybody, but I've always appreciated the idea that Superman would just, like, he just had a bad conversation with Lois. And what would you do if you were Superman? You would just kind of, well, one, I'm going to
Go stalk your ex?
Go stalk your ex, but he's just flying. Oh, he's flying over the city. There's I do like that shot. I like the shot of him coming down like from the very top. There's and this is one of those things where people say, this is a little creepy. Name one person, if you had the ability, wouldn't do this.
I agree, but I also do kind of understand the I understand a little bit of the issue.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it's understandable. Yeah,
it does make him more human, but some people have gotten like really upset about it, especially in the modern day. My whole thing, and one of the reasons why I actually started this writing project when I was in a creative writing class that was about Superman, is because I liked the idea that you would have to ascribe slightly different rules to somebody with genuine superpowers.
Yeah.
If you have somebody who can hear everything, smell everything, taste even, see through walls, all this stuff, especially growing up, they're going to have a different normality than the average human. Privacy is going to mean nothing. Like, they're going to know when any of their neighbors within 10 miles is having sex. They're going to know when they're, the guy in the building 2 blocks down has diarrhea. And they're not necessarily going to be able to help it. That's not an invasion of privacy necessarily, but people will feel that it is.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating.
And obviously, he's intentionally looking here. Versus, just that. But I also just... Yeah, I understand it. And I'm not trying to defend it like, oh, it makes perfect sense that Superman would or that he should. But I get it. And I do think that Lois has always been kind of that, his touchstone to, like, humanity and just what it would feel like to come back and see all this, and have her move on and, just... I get it, I guess. I'm sympathetic, even though what he's doing is not okay.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So,
we completely glossed over the fact that James Marsden is joining the cast of this thing. James
just
Marsden
about to
is
say,
fantastic.
he's like the... Oh, yeah. So, I would literally just about to say one of the unsung heroes of this film is James Marsden, who's, underused as Cyclops in the X-Men films, and I was glad that he got, like, actually a cool role in this film. But go ahead.
The thing is, he always plays the other man. There's like 4 different movies I could name where he's the other man. And I feel kind of bad for him because they had originally envisioned X-Men 3 very differently, involving the character of Cyclops, but instead they gave him almost 0 screen time and immediately killed him off because Marvel was mad at him for taking this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie industry.
Oh, this scene, though. I'm going to shut up because... I love this so much.
Yeah.
You may talk about it.
Well, this movie contains possibly my favorite line of dialogue ever in a Superman film, which to me kind of sums up the character where he says, you say the world doesn't need Superman, the world doesn't need a savior, but every day I hear people crying out for one, and I find that to be a really poignant sum up of who he is and kind of what drives him. And again, you just talked about it. If you can hear everything, if you're aware of everything, you would have to purposely shut out all of the cries for help because they're there all the time. So this, again, the plane sequence is amazing. This sequence is both, I love it, and it's like, really? Because this is like the dumbest criminal plan of all time. I appreciate that they didn't just
how
like...
So?
Well, because like, what's your long-term plan? Like, why would you...
Okay, this is a weird thing for me.
Okay.
This actually is a really clever plan that's based on a real bank robbery, though done in a very different way. Not with a minigun, but with like an LMGs. Okay.
Well,
so they have a chopper on the roof, right?
That would have been fine. It's the setting up the minigun. But go ahead, give me your hot take.
You see what they've got here, right? The cop. Yeah. The cop has a .50 caliber anti-material rifle. They see what he's got there. That's a Barrett.
Yeah, and no police force at this point would have had one of those.
I mean, unless you have like supervillains running around, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
But the idea is that like you have a big gun that's going to hold off the police. It's going to be something that they can't deal with, while you're loading up $1 billion in cash and goods and diamonds, right? And then you're going to take off and get away really fast and transfer things out. Like, that is actually a really good plan. And they added the minigun to be epic, I get. But it is also one of the better miniguns in movies, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's... I appreciate that this guy's not just He-Manning it around, but it's just the idea that, like, they brought a minigun and the mount that they had to, like... He could have just had an M60 on a bipod.
Agreed. Like, he could have just had an M60 on the bipod. It looks way better doing it this way, though.
It does.
It's more epic.
I mean, and it is very comic booky. Actually, I appreciate the fact that in that wide shot, you can tell that it was on wheels and at the counterweight. I mean, so this looks amazing, by the way. Like, I'm not trying to discount that there's really good, like, just right there, that shot of Superman walking towards it. And just the edits here to the shell casings coming out. I do question this guy, like, all right, I'm gonna get one more shot in with my 1911.
This is one of those things where, how do I describe this? There's this thing that pops up.
The
in
shell
Superman
casing
media.
and the bullet, by the way, they were both in screen. There.
Oh yeah,
it's just cool.
It was a good shot. There's this thing that's popped up in Superman media where you have a whole bunch of criminals that don't necessarily believe the legend, and they always want to test it a little bit. They're like, this guy can't actually just do this, right? They've got to test it. And this guy has, like, one of the biggest guns that a human being could tote. And maybe his whole thing is like, okay, so he's bulletproof. I'm a good enough shot that I wonder if his eye is a weak spot. Like, you could write it in a little bit. And I think that it's a decent scene if over the top, which is immediately followed by my least favorite scene in the entire movie.
I do appreciate the kind of recreation of Action Comics, Volume 1, the cover, because that's what they do here, right? With the car. Yeah,
they do it with the Mustang there.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this yet. I hate Parker Posey. She's a fine actress. She's probably a great person. I have never seen her in something where I'm like, oh, I like that character. I'm glad that she's in that. What a good choice of actress. She is annoying. She is abrasive. She is the actress equivalent of a Brillo pad for me.
Yeah.
And this scene with her in the car goes on way too long.
Yeah. She's
way too loud. And part of it might be that this was my first introduction to her, followed quickly by Blade Trinity. And I can't stand her. And this is her worst scene in the movie for me.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, it is. Other than the shot of him holding the car here in a second, I agree with you. I don't love this scene either. The minigun scene is way, way better. Because it's
Yeah.
actually like it's not Superman. Like it's just her in a car, and then you get this, for a moment, but that's it. So it's really not a scene about Superman. It's a scene about her screaming in an out of control classic Mustang.
And it goes on way too long. I
does.
like this gem heist that they've got going on. I think that this is actually really well done.
They really nail all the circuit breakers going off here. Like when he like there you go. That's Action Comics 1. When they cut back and he flips all these circuit breakers in a row, like they must have practiced this because it is smooth. This is like this could go in the oddly satisfying subreddit here in a second when he
Right?
hits all these levers.
Yeah. But like her overacting here and her like weirdly 30s aesthetic through the whole thing. Like
this whole thing here.
his awkwardness though.
I love
really
that this
great.
is a pre smartphone. That he's got the flip phone taking the photo there.
Oh, but later they show the photo and it looks like it's taken with this like professional Canon.
Yeah.
Like
It's not that
Yeah.
grainy postage stamp photo that we actually got out of those phones back in the day. Oh
Right.
gosh. But this okay, so
in the
watch
near
here
future.
we go.
And
It's just like there's something very satisfying that he got the timing. It
And
was
this-
like musical.
the sound mixing was really good there. Just very. Yeah, you ever watch Corridor Crew do their you trying to create the most satisfying short videos?
I haven't seen a few of those. Yeah, they're fun.
Having somebody do like that perfect thing to turn off the breakers and then reverse it to turn them on and have that loop somehow would be very satisfying.
Yeah. It's probably something to put that in a short.
But again, a lesser movie would have had him explaining how his little headset works and what they were looking for that entire time. But this movie just trusts the audience to figure it out, and we don't need to know what his magic little nod is there that helps him find kryptonite. We just get it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I keep wanting to say Brandon Singer because of Brandon Routh. Brian Singer does really well is show don't tell.
Yeah. I love this where he starts to fly and she like holds him for a second. He's like, hold on, and he's like hovering. Just, to me, it kind of shows his control, right there
Yeah.
too. Of just like, yeah, I'm, and she has the moment of like, oh, he's actually a good guy.
And yeah, she's weird. I actually really enjoyed the kind of because she's an evolution of the character of Eve Tessmacher from the original, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah, absolutely.
Tessmacher. And they kind of have that newer version of her in the 25 Superman, and she's funny.
Yeah. I do enjoy the little bit of just like Clark coming in here and just he's like, yay, there's people happy I'm back. He
You have a reference there to Gotham City. There's another one of these things that references Central City, and I think that there's a crawl that features Coast City. Yeah. So that's the Flash and Green Lantern cities, by the way.
Yeah. I do appreciate that they take the time to show, again, him just doing Superman stuff. He's put out the fire. He's helping people. He's, he spent the night helping people. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, that photo is...
Look at that shot. Look
that
at those
did not
photos.
come from a 2006 cell phone.
Yeah.
I really like Perry White in this also. This is...
Look in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Because
that was in the trailer.
this was in the trailers.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah.
Now, this movie did famously, purposefully avoid saying, truth, justice, and the American way. Instead going for truth, justice, all that stuff.
Yeah. Perry White, they do really good with him. I haven't really seen a bad Perry White, to be honest.
Yeah, I genuinely
Frank
wanted
Langella.
more of him than the new one. But yeah, he got a few good scenes in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And Frank Langella just eats it up. I actually just today found out that he had a Dracula movie in 1979 that tried to be an accurate representation of the book and was very different from all the other Draculas that you've seen. And apparently he did a really good job and was actually quite a good-looking man when he was younger. He's huge, by the way.
Yeah, he is. You can tell he's tall.
Damn.
Yeah, I do enjoy the. I mean, it's that Lois just would not want to be like why am I the person? I mean, well, of course, she's like, of course I'm the person everybody wants to go see Superman, but then she'd be like, I don't want to go talk to Superman. I'm like, this is freaking awkward.
I don't want to go talk to my ex.
Yeah. Especially when I won a Pulitzer Prize writing an article as to why the world doesn't need you. Like, that would just be inherently, yeah, it's good. I love that she gives him back his stapler. So, just the little moment there of like she puts his stapler back on his pile there. Just a tiny little continuity thing that they got right, which I appreciate.
Yeah. They considered James Marsden for Superman, which is kind of interesting. And when they did earlier drafts that involved more of a fighting and violence, they wanted somebody a little bit more like athletic and superhero-y, because they didn't really have a lot of faith in Brandon Routh. Bryan Singer kind of fell in love with Brandon Routh as the character after they had coffee together. Brandon Routh had actually won a Christopher Reeve lookalike contest at one point, and he wanted to meet him. And they had coffee together, and Brandon Routh accidentally spilled the coffee all over their table and was bumbling around apologizing. He's just like, this guy's going to make a great Clark Kent.
Yep.
I'm suddenly reminded of something as this kind of enters into the slower phase of the movie.
Yeah.
Did you read about J.J. Abrams' original pitch for this movie?
Was that the Superman Lives one that was in development for a little while after Tim Burton's failed one?
No. Superman Lives was Tim Burton's failed one. They had all kinds of different pitches come through for Superman movies. They went through a bunch of directors being attached to it. They had a whole bunch of people. Let me find the description. I had saved it because I wanted to...
well, because I remember that he was one of many people. And in 2006, JJ was... I mean, he was up and coming, but he was still mostly known as a TV guy, from Alias and in the beginning of Lost and stuff, and Felicity and stuff like that. And I can't remember when he made Mission Impossible 3. I can't remember what year that came out, but that was like
Mission Impossible 3 was 2009, I believe.
Okay, so it hadn't happened yet. So he hadn't had his... Because that was his kind of feature film debut. I mean, he had done... Was that his first movie ever? Or was it just... Anyways, I enjoyed...
It was 2006. Same year as this.
Okay, yeah, so...
That was way off.
Yeah, but he was coming up. I do love, again, the continuity here. If he finds the shard, puts it in his pocket. This movie does get its continuity... marks high. Go ahead.
I need to tell you about this because this is mind-boggling. So, according to some leaked documentation and other statements from J.J. Abrams and Bryan Singer, when offered the director's chair, this is as it's phrased in IMDb, but I did some research on it on the side. When offered the director's chair, Bryan Singer directed J.J. Abrams' initial script as being too far a departure from the source material of Superman. J.J. Abrams' story reimagined Superman as a Kryptonian prince sent to Earth as a baby to avoid an impending civil war between King Jor-El and his brother Kata Zor. Raised as a Midwestern teen, Clark Kent falls in love with his high school sweetheart Lois, Superman becomes humanity's defender, and Kata Zor invades Earth, aided by a duplicitous CIA agent Lex Luthor, who is actually a Kryptonian in disguise. The film ended with Superman returning to Krypton to rule over his people after the death of Zor-El and the defeat of Kata Zor. Singer disagreed with these changes to one of America's most well-known characters and well-known sources, and decided to pursue a different storyline.
I think I hate everything you just said, so that's...
Right?
Oh, gosh.
Secret Kryptonian CIA agent Lex Luthor. Like, what the... Like, expletive, okay? This is one of those moments that I felt was just kind of annoying. It was a little forced. I like the look on his face of he's just like, look up at me right now, see who I am, but then it passes.
Yeah.
That I thought was pretty good. But Like, oh, the purse spill, the angry great, it's just never been my thing.
Yeah, I mean they
It felt
do.
forced.
Yeah, they do have a lot of just again the Margaret Kidder stuff there. The idea that she smokes and doesn't advertise it. Which is you shouldn't smoke, Miss Lane, and checking
Yeah.
out her lungs. This I do love the way they do X-ray in this. It's a very simple effect, but I think that it's effective. And
I'll always remember how they did it on Lois and Clark. It's just a big hole.
yeah, literally like a white box around it. Just oh gosh. But watching her go up, I love the subtle. They get like the mechanisms and stuff in there, and just I love the roof of the Daily Planet here. Just again the very Art Deco, but it makes Metropolis feel. This is probably the one time to me that Metropolis doesn't just feel like it's New York City. Like it's just why don't you just call it New York City? This actually feels like a somewhat fictional city.
Yeah, and I really don't like New York, so I wish that they would stop using it for those things. But that's another thing.
Gosh.
Did you realize that Superman and Lex don't really get any scenes together? They only get one.
Yeah, they get the one on. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. But they don't get a lot of scenes together in most of the. Well, I mean, it's funny. I think Quest for Peace probably had. Well, no, Superman 2. There's a decent amount of Superman 2, but yeah, Superman 1. They only have 2 interactions in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So. But this
it's so weird how they decided to take the relationship between those two and evolve it over the years.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
I like that Superman is not afraid to show off a tiny bit with Lois. Just be a little bit like haughty in a way. Not haughty, but just like I'm Superman, and you need to even going back to Richard Donner when that very famous flight sequence, which they kind of do a homage here again to, that there's a little bit of the I'm Superman, like don't forget who I am in a way. Like there's a tiny bit of I'm trying to think of it's okay. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here. Every now and then,
I got a line for you.
Whether this is good or not, I like to remind my wife that I'm quite a bit stronger than she is, and I have trouble not always, finding little moments to have that. I love her and I adore her, and I do not look down on her whatsoever for being, an amazing woman. But there's just like that guy part of you that's just like, I just got to take a moment to remind you that I got this. And I feel like
there
Superman.
was a TikTok trend doing that a little while.
And I mean, you could definitely take that too far, and there's definitely a version of that that's not a good idea of masculinity. But there's also part of it that's just like a relatable kind of guy thing, and I don't mind it, and I like that Superman has got some version of that going on. At least that's how I kind of perceive it. What do you think, though?
So my thoughts on it, I really like the idea. I don't necessarily think of it just as like, oh, a guy flexing on his girl, because I've done the same thing, because there was this TikTok trend going on for a little while where this woman got absolutely bent out of shape when she realized just how much stronger her boyfriend was than her. Because she's in pretty good shape and her boyfriend's average, but the gender dimorphism is so intense that he's able to just be like, nope. And there was nothing she could do about it. And it like genuinely shook her. And so this TikTok trend started where girls were kind of like testing that with guys and their boyfriends and husbands and stuff. And so my wife was joking about that, and it was the same type of thing. But as it relates to Superman here, because it is kind of funny if it's done in good faith.
Yeah.
But with Superman here, I don't think it's that. I equate it, especially in this movie, which has a lot of religious undertones to it, if you really want to dissect it.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me very much of the Chronicles of Narnia. In the description that Aslan is not a tame lion. He's a lion. He's nice. He's kind. He's good, but he is not a tame lion. In this, I think that they have these moments where Superman feels the need to remind people that he is a good guy. He is powerful.
Good shot, by the way, in front of the globe.
He's merciful.
Sorry.
Oh, great shot. But he is not a tame lion.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's a fun thing to play with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, too, here, I mean, obviously that's Manhattan behind him. they do have this. I'm glad they don't go for a recreation of the scene where he flies with Lois in the first film. I mean, they definitely have homages to that music, but this right here, I like that he's kind of being honest with her. Like, this is a reconnection. This isn't an introduction. This is a reintroduction, and I love this line. I'm curious. I already talked about this. What do you think of this line?
I love it. It reminds me very much of All-Star Superman, which is just this seminal Superman miniseries where writers wanted to create a circumstance in which Superman came to a genuine and complete end. And even then, writers took it later and made it so that he came back somehow, which kind of ruined it, but whatever. But the way that he deals with Lex Luthor is brilliant. Essentially, he allows Lex to steal a pill that gives Lex Superman's powers. And in doing so, Lex Luthor is suddenly granted all of Superman's powers. But what that comes with is also the ability to see down to the molecular level, to hear everything, to experience all of the senses at once, and it almost forces Lex to understand that each person, down to like the small, like this has actually caused some controversy, pretty much down to like the smallest fetus until the oldest person, that he can hear their heart giving out for the last time. He can see their uniqueness. He can see what's special about them. He can see that every single one of them is different and comprehend it. And he can hear all of the people out there crying for help and in pain. And it overwhelms him to the point of where Lex actually has a mental breakdown that leads to a complete heel turn, where from prison, he dedicates the rest of his life to trying to continue Superman's mission, because now he understands why Superman must do what he does.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant way of settling it.
Yeah.
With the character.
I mean, that is, and it's like the ultimate Superman way to do that also. Because Superman, like, he genuinely doesn't, I mean, as much as we want action,
Love this scene.
Yeah.
Love the spin and the twirl.
Yeah, but to solve a problem non-violently, Superman wants to do that whenever possible, and to do it that way is to really.
I mean, there's some fisticuffs involved.
You know what I mean, though. But if he can, But that whole sequence, this is like the one sequence where I feel like when they were flying. No, I wouldn't call it chemistry, but these actors do feel like there's history there. Like there's
a connection.
Yeah, there's a connection there. Like I
don't like her performance, but I do actually like the way that they're written together.
Yeah, and like I think that scene was just a great way, musically, and visually, to give homage to. I love this scene where it goes overhead, and I see you around. No, I'm always around. But where it pans up here, and he flies towards the camera.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
There's some good shots. And again, I know I'm nerding about this. I love the Daily Planet Globe in this movie. I think it's the best Daily Planet Globe we've ever gotten.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I mean, there have been some really good ones. Weirdly enough, the one in what's that freaking thing called? Lois and Clark was really good.
So the one Superman thing I haven't seen, I love that her hair is a little disheveled and that Clark's already back here. The pullback reveal of him is so good. It just.
Yeah. Oh, Lois and Clark, not Superman and Lois. Lois and Clark from the 90s. They had the planet that actually was above the door that they would use whenever they showed the set from the outside at the Daily Planet. And it was like this big working thing that had lights and it would spin and it cost like $20,000 to build. Really cool prop.
You were smoking. I just love the whole... and then she honestly says, nope, I didn't smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I love Perry White's reaction here. You wrote it. You actually wrote it. He's like giddy all of a sudden. She's like, now can I please write a real story? It's good.
Let me go.
Oh gosh.
And I like that they give a reason as to why he's so invested in her beyond just like, oh, she's my star reporter. like she's dating his nephew, the mother of his grandnephew
Yeah.
in his mind. And so they make him literally family to her.
Yeah.
And so he gets really giddy and excited about things, and I like it.
I do find this sequence interesting to me. I guess it makes sense that it wouldn't be a huge priority to him, but we realize that his reaction here shows that since he got back to Earth, this is the first time he's been back to the fortress. Because he's surprised to find the crystals missing. So it implies, right, that he hasn't, like, he finally is getting around to it. He's like, all right, I got to go. He doesn't live here. It's not like it's house. So, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's interesting that, he's been back for, what, a couple weeks now? Maybe not quite that long, but it's kind of ambiguous how long he's been back. So. And he's just now like, all right, I should probably go check in the Fortress of Solitude. Somebody swiped my crystals.
He's got a lot to catch up on,
he does.
And he's...
Well, as far as he knows, this has been safe. Yeah. Oh.
The music turns pretty good here.
Yeah. He has a good tight jaw there, too.
Yeah. Angry face.
Yep.
Did you ever see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World?
It's been a long time, but I did love that movie, yes.
I love him in that. He's such a...
Oh, the vegan.
Such a goof.
Yeah. Brandon Ralph is actually tremendously good comedic timing.
Yes. He gets depowered by the Punisher, actually.
That's right.
Thomas Jane.
Well, he and Chris Evans, two comic staples. They're both so good in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. We do need to get to that one eventually.
So this is kind of the beginning of the end, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like this is the third act, kind of kicking off. Everything that happens within the next few hours, as of this moment.
Well, I do. The one thing I don't like her portrayal, but I do like the characterization that Lois is chasing. Like she's like, no, this is a good story. This is interesting. Just because it isn't sexy doesn't mean it's not important. Like they do actually let her have the character of a reporter that has good instincts and cares about things beyond just the kind of puff pieces or whatever you want to call it. And I do appreciate that.
That's something they did really well with the 2025 Superman. Sorry, I'm going to keep bringing that up because it's really on my mind. And actually, I didn't like her characterization, the characterization of Lois Lane in Man of Steel. Because they made her just a little bit too much, kind of like this one, a little bit too bitchy, but in a different way.
Yeah. Well, and Amy Adams is a good actress, but she wasn't good. She wasn't good for Lois either.
But they have they've done really well in the last few years with the portrayal of Lois Lane as like a serious journalist chasing the story, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Now her just going onto a ship with her kid.
Yeah, there's definitely some questionable decision making here, and I mean, you definitely know this isn't modern day because nobody leaves their phone ever. You have your phone at all times. I do love that she finds the wigs here, and that's the, oh no.
I know who we're dealing with now.
He still has the photos of the dogs up. Oh goodness. The
musical cue is a little weird to me, though. I'm like, why does that need to be almost like a horror movie cue? Yeah. It's just some wigs. Those poor bald people now feeling so insecure about their wigs. But I would say this is the biggest plot contrivance of having her and Jason needing to somehow get into the clutches of Lex Luthor, so we're just going to have her irresponsibly go onto a boat.
Yeah. I do appreciate that Lex is recognizes her, but is almost like, oh, wait, you're here? Just Kevin Spacey plays this pretty well of just okay, well, I'm just gonna roll with this.
Yeah.
What do you think about the decision that he's wearing his suit with paratrooper boots?
I never noticed.
Yeah,
I actually totally get that. That's one of my big problems with suits is the footwear. I hate wearing wimpy shoes.
Well, especially because they have no grip.
Yeah. What have? Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about his shoes, but also that's him thinking ahead. He knows where he's going to be.
Oh yeah, yeah. This whole so this is again where I don't love this type of Lex Luthor, but I do think that like right here, Kevin Spacey's like eating it up here.
He's chewing up the scenery and he's menacing.
Oh yeah,
He is appropriately menacing, which you and I have discussed off of recording. Is one of our problems with Nicholas Holt's portrayal is that of Lex Luthor is that he wasn't particularly menacing.
yeah. Like because Kevin Spacey gets that, and he's maybe he in real life he's menacing. But his like turn here is really it gets you. I remember this was I think this was in the trailer here where he's kind of just like having a little fun with it, and he's like he's showing a little bit, but then when he's just like no, and he just has that
Wrong.
I could kill you and I wouldn't care. Just he makes you believe that is yeah.
Yeah. Kill you with a batting an eye. Yeah.
This whole so it was interesting too. I will criticize a lot of modern filmmaking for being too. I call it being scared you're going to lose the audience's attention because people have been trained to need stimulation really quickly and often. And I don't like that. I like older films because they are slower. They have they expect you to stick with it and enjoy the slow times as well as the fast kinetic times. But this is. And as much as I really liked Superman, bless you by the way, Superman flying around and the whole Lois, the reconnection scene, I love the idea of him saving people. They could have tightened this whole sequence up. They definitely could have found a way to get them together better. I don't know. There's nothing wrong.
There should have been
with Lex going the guaranteed way to know that Superman will make me a priority is to have Lois. Like that's not a stretch. Like Lex knew that.
Yeah. And I think that they were trying to avoid they have the damsel in distress, but it's not like she was taken because of Superman. I think that they were trying to avoid that take. But they needed something a little bit more exciting in this area. They needed something a little bit more actiony, a little bit more perilous than just the monologue here. As good as the monologue is, it's just there's not anything exciting, like you were saying. It's just a little bit too slow. It's a little bit too monologue-y.
It's also just a bad plan. Maybe he's thinking advanced alien technology here. There's no evidence that he would know how to.
That's not it though. This actually is not the worst plan. But okay, you look at the left-hand side there. Yeah. The amount of America that's left is exactly what
he was going to blow off.
He was going to blow off in the original. But the thing is, he has 8 more of these crystals.
Yeah.
He does have the ability to sit there and say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it to your side of the world unless you bow to my will. And maybe he could even bluff or reverse engineer certain parts of Kryptonian stuff. You could write this as him being a legitimate threat because of what he looted from the Fortress of Solitude. You just have to do it a little bit better.
Yeah, well, I get the premise, but nothing has been shown in this film or in the Donner film to support that on screen. So it's there's no weapon. The Fortress of Solitude is an ice palace with
No, but he has all the information from Jor-El. You could easily weaponize that information. At least that's my assumption.
Well, though. You can jump to that as an assumption, but it just doesn't show it. It's a like you said, show don't tell, and then there's going from we're not even going to show it. We're going to count on you to.
I do like this.
Are you sure? Oh. Yeah. Again, Kevin Spacey, he's a good actor.
There is that convenience of his "Are you sure?" being answered with their exact coordinates. That's a plot convenience that I'm okay with.
This kid, by the
Because
way, I feel like he does actually do a good job. He's kind of so the scenes that work for me, like here, he's kind of got that look, and then way earlier in the film when he was kind of being goofy with the trash can on his head. This kid actually, I think, did a pretty good job with what he was given to do.
Yeah, the guy's name is Tristan Lake Lebeau. Lebeau, and he's still acting a little bit. Apparently, he's into music. Made like a music video for himself, stuff like that.
This henchman, by the way, so we've talked about henchmen not being distinct, like you can't tell them apart. There's like one forgettable henchman in this that I forget. This guy that just walked out, the one that always has the camera. But you have the one is not Kal Penn. Is it Kal Penn?
Well, you have two that are fairly forgettable.
Yeah, two are forgettable, and then two
camera guy.
Yeah.
Weasley guy, Kal Penn, and Creepy Bulldog Man.
Well, but it's his tattoos that really make him stand out.
And the beanie.
Yeah, it was when he takes off the beanie, and you see the skull tattooed on his head. It's a good scene where he's playing chopsticks, like that whole scene when it comes up. I actually find that scene to be pretty effective. I don't know about you, but I like that scene a lot.
No, that is a very good one. The music in this moment, I swear, was music right out of the 90s disaster movie Dante's Inferno.
Oh, really?
Sounded just like it.
Okay.
But
so
no connection.
This, Caravan of Garbage reminded me of this, but I totally was like, yep, this is Nedry from from Jurassic Park. Didn't use the magic word.
I hate overly simple passwords like that.
Well, maybe in 2006.
Well, part of that is like me being a system administrator before being laid off, but it's just like I've always hated let's guess the password and it's going to be exactly straightforward. I remember this episode of the show Criminal Minds where guy sits in his room and he figures out what this guy's password is because of the music that he listens to. And I'm like, what? He's not going to use a freaking @ sign for his
What I do believe, though,
Sandman?
What I do truly believe, though, is where they sit down at somebody's desk and they find it written on a Post-it note, like buried deep in like the drawer or something, because that absolutely does happen.
Oh, dude, so much. We had so many freaking trainings against that, but people do it anyway.
This is a good shot right here, just with the reveal.
Yeah, this is a good scene.
Oh, it's a good tattoo.
It's like a clown dog.
Yeah, and when he kind of flexes his head, wiggles his head. Oh, that's good. Because again, here the idea of like and because this extra, I'm gonna call him an extra because I don't even know if he like acts, but he does great at being like, I'm gonna sit here next to your boy, and I'm totally capable of having fun with him. And just kind of chilling with him, and I could kill him. It's just he communicates so much. He never says a word, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, because he even does that later when he's like got her on the ground, and she's like trying to get away from him, and he's like hefting the different items to kind of decide which one am I going to bludgeon you to death with.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's well done.
And just like the shot of the tattoo makes me wonder if he had the tattoo and like Bryan Singer found him. It was just like, I got to put you in my movie, or if it was totally engineered. I appreciate the fact that he's not stupid either. He keeps checking on her. He's not like he's not totally ignoring her. Mm-hmm. Although he does conveniently ignore her. Yeah, he does conveniently ignore her just long enough to let her do this though.
Yeah,
but at a certain point, you gotta let your movie be a movie. Yeah, the fax machine is very 2006.
Yeah,
appreciate the Russian.
Cyrillic languages. I don't know if this is a specific thing. I couldn't find anything on it. If it's like an actual launch platform.
Couldn't you just throw it in a big old slingshot or something?
Yeah, just have 2 guys or 3 guys holding one of those water balloon launchers.
I'm not sure if that would have conveyed the seriousness of the whole thing.
Right?
Oh, goodness. Ooh.
Normally I do some research on the terms. I like that kind of It looks almost like the gamma explosion from the Hulk,
Yeah.
the 2003 Hulk.
This thing, now I do find, I mean, this is like a menacing planet. As much as like the premise is kind of, the whole land thing again. I mean, this is definitely a comic book level plot to like just, to take over the world kind of thing. Like it's a big, audacious, absurd, conquer the world plot. And I do appreciate that.
That was actually a BGM-71 tow missile system.
Okay.
It just looked really different. It was like spray painted a weird color. I thought that it was totally fake because everything looked way too uniform on it. Turns out they just painted it.
just a little chrome paint or a little gunmetal paint.
Yeah. I liked the idea that they put there of like, the crystal will adapt to anything around it. And that like he's going to make a world that Superman cannot live in. That was an interesting thing to me.
Oh. That's a good reveal.
And it's brutal too. He grabs her by the hair and pulls her over the desk.
In front of her son.
And she's like, she's gonna get something. And they're all nailed down.
Yeah, because it's on a boat. So yeah, this stuff is this scene. What do you mean? Where he starts picking stuff up? Oh, it's and again the kid's performance is great. And then just the idea of like, no, I'm not gonna stab you or like just slit your throat. I'm gonna beat you to death.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wonder if he was in anything else. I need to find this guy.
As much as we like knew this was all coming, it was still a great moment there with the piano.
Yeah. And also it's like, oh geez, the first heroic thing Superman's son does is kill a man.
Kill a man.
That's hefty.
He's saving his mom though,
That's brutal. Yeah. No, totally right.
And then the whole like, oh, I'm not sure I need my inhaler.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, this actor, he didn't really do much.
Yeah. He's very effective henchman. I love this whole like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, sticking them in the kitchen thing is a good plan also. I like that. That's
It's not like they have a brig on this yacht.
Yeah, right? But that would be one of the easier places to store people and jam it because it is going to be at the center of the ship. It's going to be airtight. All they need to do is jam the door.
Yeah.
And like, do you think she knew?
I think she might have suspected. I mean, well, I'll put it this way. Women, I'm like a guy about to speak for women. I don't mean it like that. But women know what men are possible dads to their kids. Like there's just, generally speaking, unless you are an OnlyFans, just stereotypical whatever that has so many guys you can't keep track of them. The vast majority of women know what men are possible candidates, and I have to believe that she would know that James Marsden's character is not a possible candidate.
Yeah, because that's what I always wonder. It's just like, is her whole thing that she's been lying all these years? Or was she just kind of like hoeing it up around that time and, just happened to have like a one-night stand with Perry White's son or Perry White's nephew sometime around there?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of odd when you're really thinking about it because it doesn't really fit with the characterization of Lois Lane outside of, like, the fact that she was going to marry so many different guys during the Silver Age.
Yeah.
They've never really portrayed her as being that kind of a character.
It is a plot version where I could see if you do go with the timeline that like Superman vanished, right after the end of Superman 2.
Mm-hmm.
And just being distressed, she very quickly I don't know.
Gets
or
drunk
maybe
has a good time.
Or just something where, there's the magic kiss and maybe she does get with, Perry White's, nephew. soon enough. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me a whole lot, I guess. I don't mean that like as a hand wavy thing, but just I like this transition. By the way, sorry to get back to this. I think this is a good.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder how many suits he goes through.
Right. Good use of the John Williams theme.
A little and just the idea here, I love that he's looking down at, like through the water. He's actually looking at like the bottom of the ocean here and kind of seeing what's going on. And this is, I
assume that he would be able to sense that something is off.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that we're seeing here.
Yeah, well, he
Like,
sensed
he
it,
can
but then it shows the X-ray, here through the water, right? That he's
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny again.
It's
We,
just that-
we literally just saw this again in Super. I'm sorry for anybody's spoilers, I guess, but that again we're having a it's I was
A
genuinely
crisis of copying.
yeah, I was genuinely disappointed that is the threat they went for again. I mean, not exactly the same, but visually very similar.
Yeah, in the 2025 Superman, for those who don't know, the big threat at the end of the movie is that Metropolis is threatened by a giant crack.
Yes, and here we are again,
It just
or here we are earlier.
you could say that it's a really, really just like dumbass way of doing it.
Yeah.
Also, they tried to overcompensate for the obvious massive death toll that would have been present in Man of Steel by having the whole city evacuated. So even if Metropolis is threatened, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
The best part about it was the after the credits scene where they joke about how Mr. Terrific tried to put it all back together perfectly and he was just a little bit off, and Superman points it out and he has like his final little breakdown temper tantrum. It's great.
This sequence though of Superman kind of fixing like kind of staying ahead of things. I actually
Being
think,
a firefighter.
yeah, this is a great sequence. This genuinely is a good sequence. And I the details of like when he hits the glass with I love that they're going opposite directions. Again, it's really well framed. And just they're both kind of catching the same event but different perspectives.
One of the things I do like about the 2025 Superman that it has on this one is that Jimmy actually has something to do in the more recent one.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like what they did in Supergirl, the TV series, because I thought that Supergirl actually did a really good job of copying this feel, almost like a feel of this movie versus Man of Steel, specifically. But their Jimmy Olsen is this big, beautiful, buff black man. And I'm like, that's not Jimmy Olsen.
No.
Like, if you want to cast a black Jimmy Olsen, fine, but big, beautiful, buff, like, turns into his own superhero Jimmy Olsen, it didn't work for me at all. But this is classic Jimmy Olsen. He just doesn't do much.
Well, but they do give him the one moment which I appreciate. I mean, not that I love this with the glass that he thinks about.
Yeah.
Just gonna let everybody get eviscerated with falling glass.
Yeah, man. Falling Glass. Somebody watched Final Destination 2.
Yep. But the where Jimmy Olsen does that he's taking the photos with his good camera.
Yeah.
When Superman
He's finally like,
lands
I got my
with
shots,
the
I got my
globe.
shots, I got my shots.
Yeah. We can tell he's got a, So
This
go ahead.
This sequence, like, especially with that burst pipe and everything like that, feels very Jerry Bruckheimer CSI-ish to me.
A little bit here. Yeah.
In, like, a good way.
His solution is interesting as he's like trying to, he's got to stay ahead of it. I love where he's punching through the flames here. It's a cool shot.
Yeah. That it's like over the top, but in the over the top way that I want,
All right. Get ahead of it before it gets to the like actual gas plant.
And I like the use of the ice breath. That's something that a lot of Superman stuff tends to stay away from in live action. Or actually, that's not true. It's just
it's used
I don't
strangely.
know. It feels underutilized.
Yeah. Well, and here I appreciate that
not
it's
on paper.
that they did it well there too, where he actually like has to. It takes a half second to kind of build up, just to get that.
Yeah.
See, I hear the idea that in all this chaos, Jimmy Olsen is still taking the time to like, I'm gonna capture this. My job is to capture this.
Clickety 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 click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
And
There we go. Now this where he does bust through the building because he's in too much of a hurry to take his time to go around it. The catch here, I think the catch is amazing here. It's just a well shot. Yeah, this is a good little sequence.
Oh, this sequence is fantastic. I actually think that if this had been what was happening earlier in the movie, it would have been a little better. But I get this is kind of the action climax of the movie.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately,
that's not great.
The subtitles say "noble theme" playing right there.
Right, I noticed that earlier. But yeah, this is just the subtle use of John Williams. There is excellent, and they do the same thing. They have a very similar scene to this in the 25 Superman, where he catches a building from falling on a lady, and it even has the John Williams theme playing. Cronsworth looks really good in the moment, and it's followed by this absolutely beautiful scene of Superman against this like dust that's being kicked up, and the sun's shining through it.
That might have been my favorite frame in the new movie. That shot of him, with the sun and just that's a good shot.
But yeah, this creepy Kryptonian landmass that they have coming up here. It's an interesting idea, but I feel it's not properly carried out. It's missing something. There's a je ne sais quoi that's just gone.
Well, I think part of it is they didn't. I almost feel like it's created and solved too fast. I think that if it had been, I don't know, maybe not come as quickly or something. If we get to the end of this, we start talking about how would you fix this. I mean, I'm not sure, but I do feel like this Lex creates this. Mm-hmm. Superman, lands. They have their whole little thing. He goes up and recharges. He comes back, and because they have this with like Lois, right? This actually, like when Superman, when they're they're gonna start drowning here in a little bit as the ship splits, and like I think that there's some good moments there, especially when Superman rescues them in the shot where he's holding the ship and he gets them and then he lets the ship go. Like it's a good shot.
So supposedly they had some rules going for this movie where they weren't supposed to like. They had like a no punching rule for Superman. They didn't want him to be super violent. And I think that was a mistake. I think that some of these scenes are lingered on a little bit too long.
Yeah.
They want to build tension, and I get that. It's a difficult balance to strike. But if they had the budget, which they probably just didn't have the budget, I would have loved to see a subplot about Lex trying to create a proper security system to make sure that once the world is listening to him, he can keep it. And making it like using the Kryptonian technology to mutate animals, sea life, the dogs or something, and be able to have something like a kryptonite-infused Rottweiler or something, almost like the 2003 Hulk, that would give Superman something to physically fight.
Yeah. What's the thing? I think that if we had the landmass be created in the second act and then Superman having to deal with it in the third act, like Lex had time to kind of create the threat better or something. I'm not entirely sure. But just that if it had been built up a little bit better and that there was more of a, I think it's solved too easily here.
I get what you're saying there, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they didn't go too crazy with it. I liked the solve, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not that it was, maybe easy is not the right word, but quickly. Because from Superman landing on the landmass to getting it into space, I mean, I think there's like less than 15 minutes of film time.
Yeah, you're right, I guess, but um, yeah, this movie would need to be like, because the things that they do well, this whole thing, very kind of Titanic-y,
Yeah.
is done really well. And it helps to build the tension and it dwells on things, which is
Yeah.
something that a lot of superhero movies don't always do. And I really do enjoy that and like that. But at the end of the day, I think that it vastly weakens the movie. And
Oh,
I think that if they'd used their time and money to be a little bit more. Oh, that was a rough scene, though.
about
Oh,
to
that
say like
crack.
yeah, her getting clocked, got in the head there is and then this is where they like get the little porthole thing there and just that the desperation of. I think this is one of those scenes where you can't help but imagine like just how terrifying this would be if you were
Yeah.
in this scenario.
Yeah, they do really well at it. This
Well, and
is
the
one
fact
of
that
the
this has
best scenes in the
tension,
movie.
you
Mhm.
know 1,000%, Superman's going to save him. I mean, in the theater, you're not watching this going like, are they going to kill Lois? But they still manage to have tension, which is like that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. And I really like this scene, but at the same time, if we could have had something a little bit more, heart poundy.
Yeah, James Marsden does
Um,
a good job right there, by the way, of just like he's just like the look
he's
on
so good.
his face of just like I got out here. I actually found them. I rescued them, and here we are all going to die together. And it's just like that. He convincingly sold that emotion.
And the fact that he's been kind of relegated to being the human sidekick to animated animals is kind of sad to me. Like, okay, we're gonna pull you out of this giant water tank. We need you to be holding this beam and
Yeah.
just looking like you're gonna poop yourself.
Just, don't worry, we're playing really epic music, so it's gonna look cool. But okay, I like this. I like that the idea that he's holding this thing up. He's like, all right,
Mhm.
because Superman, obviously he's just levitating. I mean, he
Yeah.
just does.
Like,
And just
I
the idea
thought
of like,
that they made
I love the moment. Have you got them? I love that he takes that moment of like, you've got them, right? Because I've got you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I like that they had that line. That he didn't assume that.
serious. Oh yeah, agreed. I love that moment, but also serious, bordering on angry, damp Superman is a great look on Brandon Routh. Like, there's something to that just is grandiose. He really wears the look well.
Yeah. I like this. Dick takes the quick moment to check her, make sure like, all right. It's a good X-ray scene too.
Yeah, they really avoided.
They did a good job with his contacts. When they do close up of his eyes, it looks really good.
Well, some of it's digitized.
Okay. Well, again, they did a good job. Some of the effects work is such a mixed bag in this movie because when it's good,
Yeah.
it is really good, even by today's standards.
Oh yeah.
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 Go ahead.
That look right there.
Yeah. Like, all right, I gotta go deal with this.
Actor's just trying to cover up a sneeze.
Just look here as he's looking around. He recognizes the architecture. Obviously, just
He's like,
he's angry.
Crap.
This
Somebody stole my
landing.
shit.
That was a trailer shot again.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
That landing was in the trailers.
yeah. The crack in the ground there, just that nice little indent.
Oh,
No, the very first
you
shot.
didn't skip a day.
No, I love all the dead fish too. That little detail.
Yeah. Did you watch the smell?
There's a scene here where he's like walking up the stairs, and it's kind of like a side shot of him, like half up a stair. Like that was, I believe, the very first reveal picture they had of him in the suit.
Yep. It's still one of the main stills that you see of him as Superman.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of him not being aware that he's not strong now? Like, for him not being aware that he's vulnerable right now. That he wouldn't feel it somehow.
I think he can. I think that even like this is one of the things that I thought about also because I'm just like, could he feel it? Did he feel it? But he's bluffing. If you see him get up here and you see that he starts sweating,
Yeah.
like he knows he's sweating.
Yeah.
He knows that he's a little bit weaker, but he's kind of, maybe he's hoping that he won't buy it. Maybe he's hoping that he's strong enough to resist. Nope. There he goes.
Yeah. This scene, I do remember in the theater, this was genuinely upsetting to watch. Like, in an effective way, meaning like the movie was being effective, that seeing Superman get beat up and like when they grab it, like when the henchmen start, like it affected me. Like it made me very uncomfortable. It is hard to watch a Superman, a man like that get just no mercy, and it was
Right.
But and again, as much as it's hard to watch, like that it was effective, and
Because they just gave you this scene where he just did all that cool stuff, right? Saving the city and all that cool ways. Like we know that he is powerful, and it seems like wrong. It seems like an injustice.
Yep.
That he would be able to be taken down that easily, and it like hurts you to see, because you want him to get up. You want him to just take these guys apart, but he can't.
Well, and I think too, it makes you really just like hate these henchmen that much more. Of just like it is like the version of like the kind of person who would like, oh, you think you're a big man because you did this, and now you can take down Superman, like you're proud of yourself somehow. But you think that this is somehow a big moment for you, but no, this is actually like a moment that shows just how pathetic you are. And
right? You just want to be like, oh, you chicken shit little coward.
Yeah, really. It's just, it is the the closest parallel I can think of is the man who this whole scene where they grab his head and just pull him, and his yelling and just oh man. It's
trying to figure out what he said there.
Yeah.
Subtitles just say mumbling.
Yeah, it's just. But I mean, when you see like a big man abuse a woman, where you're just like, you are the lowest form of life that exists. To actually use your to take your position and to. You know what I mean? That's the only real life counterpart I can think of where I emotionally feel, that's kind of how I feel about these henchmen right now.
Yeah, because just like we've seen Superman do nothing but good through this entire movie so far. We've seen him do nothing but help people and try and make the world a better and safer place, so to speak. And these guys are just like, nah, we're going to beat you up because we want to feel powerful by beating up the strongest man on the planet.
And I also think what makes it effective is anybody who knows the world knows that these kind of people do exist, that these kind of people are out there. Yep. And it's just, it makes you angry because these are the kind of people that are the reason you wish there was someone like Superman, that actually existed.
Yeah.
Oh,
but like, just it's such a like kind of a pathetic scene.
They let Brandon Routh really be pathetic too. Like they really let him be like weak. They don't really give him any dignity. I think that's what makes it work too. It's not like he's like kind of taking it. There's not like a sense of like the closest they get to him is the closest they get to giving him that is here when he stands up and falls. But through that whole sequence, it's not like he gets a good shot in or he somehow kind of, has some dignity about him. It's just sad. And
one of the reviews that I remember reading about this is where this feels unfair, but at the same time, maybe it was also kind of the intention. But they felt like the scene with him and Superman, this whole thing, is comparable to almost like a rape scene.
Almost.
And it's like, it is not quite that uncomfortable, but it does feel almost that rage-inducing.
Yeah.
To see like a good man just like beaten and abused like that out of this pettiness and selfishness.
Yeah. And this actually, I think this is Parker Posey's best sequence in the movie also. Her reactions are genuinely good.
Very much so. Like I said, she's not untalented. I just really don't like her.
Yeah. No, but I think this sequence is the only time in the movie I like her. Oh man, yeah.
And the good use of the voiceover again. I remember watching this with my dad, and my dad's a pastor, as many of you know. Bring him up sometimes in that capacity, but he was like, "I want to know who wrote Jor-El's dialogue back in the 70s, because the lines that he uses are so biblical in so many ways. Even the whole notion of the son becomes the father and the father the son.
Yeah.
That's used a couple times in this movie is so very religious. And then there's another very outright religious symbolism moment later, which is reused in Superman a few times. I've already seen it in Smallville more than
Mario
once,
Puzo,
including the pilot.
I wonder if Mario Puzo himself actually wrote those lines. I mean, you know, he famously wrote The Godfather, very talented writer. I wonder if because he wrote the story. I mean, there were several other contributors to the screenplay for the original Superman, but you know, I mean, he was an old school guy. She just
and he was Catholic.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a really good chance that it was Mario Puzo that wrote those lines.
Which is just fascinating because I've read The Godfather and that book's messed up in some ways. But those of you who have read it know what I'm talking about. But the iconography. Zack Snyder, who is an admitted, I want to say he was an agnostic, said that the comparisons between Superman and Christ are inevitable.
Yeah. I mean,
so
even if
he wanted to
don't
get it out of
believe
the way.
you can't get around it. It just is there.
Yeah. So when he was doing Man of Steel, he was like, so I just want to get it out of the way. And so he has all of his very Christ-centric-ish imagery right out in the open in Man of Steel, so that way he can kind of put it behind him and take the character somewhere else in the other movies. They have a scene where after he's kind of been exposed to kryptonite atmosphere and he like floats out of the ship in the classic and in front of the sun.
Yeah.
In the classic
pose.
cross pose, which they use in Smallville's pilot, where they pretty much crucify Clark, putting him up as a scarecrow in a very Jesus pose.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, they use it in just a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because you just can't really escape it.
Yeah. I mean, and lots of other films have also done that you know, that pose either in water or, you know, something like that. I mean, it's definitely not unique to just Superman, but Superman is definitely, you kind of can't not, you know, get to it at some point.
But it is the idea of the God-man on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Who dies unrighteously for others.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Superman definitely has more than just, you know, the pose. But that is definitely part of it. I do like
I like this.
Just the simple, like, hey, I know what's wrong. Hey, there's a toolkit in this plane.
Yeah.
I love his...
Well,
his,
that's
his,
the thing that's going to be keeping him down, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, she knows Superman. I mean, you know, she's familiar with him and his weaknesses.
Intimately.
And oh, yeah, absolutely. And just get this out of here. I love Marston's reaction when she opens the door of the plane. Like...
Yeah, because to her, she's just like, I need to get this out. And he's like...
We're flying
like,
right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
gosh.
I feel like they added that in there because somebody who was a pilot was like, she opened the door. Does she warn him or something? It's like, wait, let's turn this into a comedic moment.
Yeah.
Or it might even have been in editing where it was a completely different scene. And the editor knew that this was going to be somehow applicable to a plane thing and like cut it in there, you know?
Now, I
love the way that.
As much as, again, it's used a lot, I love a good Superman in the sunlight shot. And this shot
yeah.
coming up, I think, works, especially with the flex that he does, and just the, just all right, I gotta get a quick recharge and then go back in, and it's just, I mean, it's simple, but I just love it. I love it. I mean, in Man of Steel, it's great. It's great in James Gunn's Superman. Just that.
Yeah, this is Superman's equivalent to grabbing a Red Bull.
Yeah, like just give me a second, a little quick. No atmosphere in the way, just a nice raw radiation burst, and let's get going again.
I'm just imagining like a Justice League movie where everybody's kind of gotten the just crap beaten out of them, and it shows them all, and they like have the Green Lantern, and he's recharging his ring with the Oath. They have Wonder Woman, and she's like taking this moment to meditate. And they have Superman, and he's basking in the sunlight to recharge. And they have, like, Batman or someone, he's just chugging a Red Bull.
Well, and Brandon Routh's face right there was just really good, too. You just that look of, like, all right, let's do this. And I love that he has his heat vision going here to kind of drill, and he's just, like, again, despite my issues, as I previously talked about with this, because this isn't a perfect ending, the way it's shot, I like this whole. I like the music. I like him going down. The idea of just like that shot of him going subterranean. He's and then as it sucks back in. Like I like all that. I think there's a lot of good filmmaking here, along with some decisions that I don't love.
I think that this was somebody who really wanted to celebrate Superman's like full arsenal and his powers. Because we hadn't really been able to do that in so many things. We'd had the 1990 to 1991 Superboy, which is actually like lasted 4 seasons. The first 2 were really campy and bad. The second 2 still campy, but actually had some really good stuff in them. We had Lois and Clark. We had Smallville. All of these things had happened between Quest for Peace and this movie. But we never had the budget to see Superman in his full power. And I feel like the people writing this movie and creating this movie, directing it, Bryan Singer and the others, wanted to just celebrate Superman as powerful as they can make him on screen and make it a spectacle. And I think that they succeed in that.
Yeah. Well, when this movie has its big moments, they're big and they work. Again, it's just you didn't get to watch him punch anything. But
nope.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a sequel to this featuring Brainiac and Bizarro, which was going to be titled Man of Steel, because by the time this came out, we already had announcements and trailers or like teasers for The Dark Knight. So the title of Man of Steel was already set.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that did fall apart because Bryan Singer wanted to make Valkyrie and all this other stuff was going on.
Yeah. Well, there was a combination of...
But
you've heard this comparison, I'm sure. And I think this movie made more money than Batman Begins and actually was, reviewed quite well. And the idea of if you had taken a Batman Begins... And then, if you had written and had your Dark Knight moment as a follow up to this, I mean, that would have been cool. But it's always one of those like hypothetically, right? Because we never got that movie never got made. It might not have been remotely better than this. You have no idea. But
Brian's just to finish Bryan Singer described the script that he had for Man of Steel as unrelenting terror from the first frame into the last. And I want to see that.
Oh yeah,
I want to know I want to know what was in that.
I believe he used the term "angry God" also to describe.
Yes, angry God.
Yeah, I definitely is again totally not taking into account the guy's personal history, but given the parts of this that worked so well, I would have loved to have seen his follow up to this because I think it could have been something special. And even looking at X-Men versus X2, X-Men's a great movie. X2 just really... and
X2 is still one of the best superhero movies out there.
It's very good. And so it's like seeing, okay, what would Bryan Singer been able to do with the follow-up? And I'm, it's up there for me with like wish there was an alternate universe where that movie could exist and I could see it.
Did you know that there's another movie that came out the year after this, which used the Superman logo? The Superman Returns Superman logo?
I know. What is it?
It was I Am Legend.
Oh, yeah, because it had they were making a BVS movie in that movie, right? It was like...
In that movie, there was a movie poster, because it was supposed to take place in 2008, or after the collapse of society in 2008. And they have a poster in Times Square of this Superman symbol conjoined with the Batman Begins Batman symbol.
Was the Batman Begins? I thought it was like the old, like the Schumacher Batman symbol.
Maybe I just saw some mock-ups, but I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this right here. The musical cue, when you realize what he's doing and you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
He's going for it.
Well, and I like the idea that he tried to get down deep, and these crystals are still growing. So like he would have had some isolation from the crystals at the beginning of this when he kind of was getting it started, because getting it started would have been the hardest part of this from a physics point of view. Kind of once you get it moving, it does actually get a little bit easier. But
yeah, and also because it doesn't have anything to keep growing with it, so this is going to be kind of its maximum weight as it's absorbing the minerals and growing.
I like the minimal music here. It's a good shot of like coming up past the sun, and I mean, yeah.
Well, you have that choir in the background, very 2001. Thus spake Zarathustra.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I like what you said earlier. The idea of if you're prepared to die, you can do a lot.
You're right. That is the Schumacher Batman. Darn it. Ignore me.
This he does a good job with the look on his face here of just like, all right, that was everything I had. That literally was everything.
He actually looks kind of dead for a moment.
Yeah.
One of the things I also like a lot, when he goes into space, you saw this at the beginning with the shuttle. There's the Jesus pose.
Yeah.
You see with the shuttle, when he is in space, the light that is on him is white. Because sunlight in space is white, not yellow. The yellow comes from the refraction in our atmosphere.
And
I like that detail.
Yeah, that is good.
With style. No, the idea that he just happens to fall right back to Metropolis is convenient, taking astrodynamics into account, but I'll give it to him.
I mean,
maybe he can unconsciously aim.
I love how deep he hits though here, because he would have a little kinetic energy going at this point.
Oh, just a wee bit. That's like a straight up meteor strike that would probably, I mean, it wouldn't like Paris and Armageddon, but I feel like it would do a little bit more than this.
I do like that they did the trees shake though. It's not just a little poof,
No. I kind of wish that it had been a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
I guess.
I love his curl's still intact.
He's very clean. Yeah. I suppose it was the sanitation that comes with atmospheric re-entry.
Yeah. I do, I've heard people criticize this end. I don't hate it. The idea that people would have been, desperately trying to save him. I love the little detail of trying to give him an IV and his skin is still impervious.
And the defibrillator, even if he wasn't fibrillating.
like
anybody that knows me knows that I hate defibrillation scenes in movies because they're never fibrillating. They're dead, and shooting someone with electricity doesn't bring someone back from the dead.
Yeah,
it's to regulate their heart.
I appreciate this is the only shirtless scene Brandon Routh has, and he's obviously in very good shape. But that they saved this to be the kind of the scene of like showing all of his work to look good under the suit.
He put on like 25 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. Well, because, obviously with Henry Cavill, they had the whole oil rig scene where you really got him in all of his glory. And, that's kind of like a staple in modern comic book movies. You got to get your guy a shirtless scene to show off all their gym work. And I actually like that they kind of saved it for his, where he's, he's in this isn't like a show-off scene.
Yeah. Was there a
Corn
shirtless
sweat?
scene in 25 Superman?
No, I don't think it was. I think that James Gunn avoided that, which I appreciate. You keep calling the actor by a different name. Of it's isn't it Corn Sweat?
I have no idea.
Okay, now I'm like,
I genuinely don't know. This is a good scene. The Superman is dead, and you're like, oh shit, they went there. And then Superman Lives, which was, of course, the title of the failed Tim Burton adaptation that was weeks away from filming. They had sets, they had costumes, they had Nicolas Cage cast as Superman.
it would have been so bad.
Oh my god.
It is Corn Sweat, by the way.
It's Corn Sweat?
Yeah, Corn Sweat.
Come on, man, make like all the other actors and change your name.
David Corn Sweat.
But you know what? He stands out.
Yeah. I think
So-
James Marsden could have been a good Superman, actually.
Oh, I agree. He has the superhero look. You could literally pick a superhero from the Golden Age or Silver Age. Batman, Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, even Green Arrow, Cyclops, Captain America, maybe even like Tony Stark or Hank Pym or something like that. And he could feasibly be in that role.
Yeah.
He could even be a Bruce Banner, and he'd be pretty good. If he, in his younger days, he would actually make a fantastic Spider-Man. But yeah, he just has that classic all-American white dude face.
Is he
Um,
one of the confirmed cast members that's making a cameo of some kind in Avengers Doomsday? There's like 80 of them, right?
Is he? Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean, though, right? Where they have like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
so
no,
many.
yes,
He's a confirmed.
he is listed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're
in
going to
that
do that to
picture.
have them do anything more than just they're all glorified cameos. They're going to have to be, right? But
Yeah, you're not
yeah.
me.
I appreciate his character in this, though. He doesn't. I mean, he obviously would be feeling insecure about Superman, and he does express it a little bit when they have that scene where Superman's spying on them in their house. But he doesn't. He doesn't turn into some like cliche, jealous, insecure dude.
Yeah,
Like right
Very much
here.
agree. I also
He
really like
drops her off. He gives her a sweet kiss. He's like, it's okay.
he knows he's the other guy.
Yeah, he knows, but I believe he genuinely loves her, and I like that they didn't devolve him into some cliche insecure guy.
Yeah. But yeah, just this scene, she looks so young.
Yeah.
And she's very attractive, but at the same time, she also has like a 5 head.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember
I know what you mean.
I remember thinking when I saw this, he's just like, people, put him on the roof. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't keep him inside. Throw him out in the desert somewhere. It's what he needs. Oh gosh.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that was one of the ideas with what's the freaking thing? The death of Superman is that
They bury him.
they wrote it in like they didn't just bury him, they put him in like a concrete lined lead box so nobody could steal his corpse. And so eventually I think it was Supergirl or somebody the whole thing is that they like dig him out from underneath and put him in the fortress in that like super pretty much the thing that they had in the 25 Superman at the beginning that heals him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a funny idea.
Yeah. What do you think of
Yeah,
this?
so much time is
Yeah, I'm going to say, what do you think of this little scene here? Just
It's
her
okay.
kind of talking to him, and
it's
I-
a good chemistry scene.
yeah, I
It's
feel like
fine.
she's sweet here. She's like letting some vulnerability show. I like that.
It's just another one of those things that takes so much time,
Yeah,
and it's good that they take the time. Taking that time would lessen the impact, but at the same time, I can't help but think, like, imagine what they could have done if they had been a little bit more brisk about this movie.
yeah,
If they had been a little bit more um, thoughtful. Well, not thoughtful. That's a mean way to say it. I know what they're doing. They were being thoughtful. They were being intentional. I wish that they had a little bit more meat on this movie, a little bit more action and suspense.
Yeah.
In order to create a better kind of like actiony climax. But I also can't deny that this is like the most pure Superman story that we've seen on film.
It's hard because it feels like an older fashioned film because of the choices, but it also was supposed to, but that's also part of the problem. It is a hard balance to strike. I love this little scene though where the kid just like it just again this kid really does a good job. He was very adorable. He just like, hey, hold on, I'm gonna give him a kiss.
Well, this was around the time that they were really moving towards Superman having a child. Because there had been times with like, the imaginary stories of Batman and Superman's kids who were just Batman and Superman 2.0. But after this, and this isn't necessarily what started it, it was a combination of things, but this was definitely a part of it. Superman and Lois had children. They specifically had a son named Jonathan, and he went on to become Superman, and the big thing for him is that they paired him with the character of Damian Wayne, the son of Batman, and that was a fantastic little series. And then they had Superman and Lois, and they gave him 2 kids in that, and other things like that. It has become a part of the character now that he is also a father.
I wanted to change the subject really fast. I appreciate that they took the moment that Martha was there in that crowd shot, and I remember thinking with that too of just like the sadness of like she can't go in to see her own son. Mm-hmm. That she's kind of trapped in that, nobody knows, but that at the same time, I'm glad the movie didn't forget about her in that moment. I mean, and it's just a tiny little 10 seconds probably. But it was something that I just appreciated again, that the movie didn't forget about her, because I think a lot of other movies would have.
Yeah, well, they had a brief scene of her earlier as well. Love this. But I've talked a little bit about how I did this writing project about Superman that really helped me kind of fall in love with the character. I was in a creative writing class, and they pretty much told us write a fan fiction in a weird format. And it was literally that scene that inspired the entire thing, because the scene that I wrote was essentially a speech, as if going over historical coverage of the death of Superman, and Lois bringing up a very elderly Ma Kent to the podium following the death of Superman, and her being able to reveal to the world who he actually was.
Yeah. And
I still think I wrote it pretty good, to be honest. But
I like this too. I like just again, it takes a little bit to just having the title.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good. She's actually playing this, I think, well. Just like she has a, again, the little touches of like showing her fingers and showing her eyes. I think the editing is there. And it's effective to me. Yeah, it is slow, but it's hard because
the slowness helps this movie, but it is also a detractor. It's a catch-22.
Yeah, and then of course you have this, which I
it's
like.
Just so good.
And it's just because he gets the inflection right, and this is a scene where I think a lot of people who weren't looking for this in Superman were just like, oh, we're spending a lot of time doing this, and I get it. I get their criticisms, but I also want to. I guess this is where I would tell them there's also a lot of people who love this character that this is great, and it's Superman is a very hard character to please the majority on, because there's just a lot of different people who want different things out of him on film. And I
love that you could just see the glassiness grow in his eyes in this scene. Again, a lot of that show don't tell going on.
Yeah.
This whole thing, and at least it's not Kevin Spacey showing up in the young kid's bedroom.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But like him repeating the words, it's so good.
It is. And this is too where like people are like, this is cheesy. Superman is cheesy. I don't know how to tell you that. Like he is. That's part of what he's the opposite of Batman. He's not supposed to be Batman. He's supposed to be just unabashedly, cheesily good. And that's
I literally never took this scene as cheesy.
Well,
Ever.
what I mean,
I have never felt this as cheesy. This is like thematically perfect for this movie to happen.
I completely agree. But I guess what let me just because it's because so many people think it is. I guess that's what I mean. I don't mind it at all. And to me, it's people consider it cheesy because it's old fashioned, because it is about I'm seeing this and I'm taking this serious, and it's people have become uncomfortable with this kind of thing, and they consider it just like, oh, it's just, because there's this obsession with just the dark, and I don't like it, but it's just it's so prevalent, and you find it online and forums and Reddit, and people just it's anyways it's I'm with you. I just want to just clarify that. Go ahead, Dub.
No, that's pretty much it. It's just, you say that, and I've read some criticisms of it, and I don't know, that scene, I have never once seen that scene and thought to myself, how cheesy. It's for this movie, that is a perfect scene.
Yeah. This, I mean, for some reason too, the way he's lit here, and just the city behind him, and he's got that calm, reassuring smile, like I'm okay, and just repeating these lines. I do think that this last little scene is great. I like it. I like the I'm always around, and then just that
it rhymes. It's like a tone poem.
Gosh, all right, George. And of course, you have to hit the music again. And Superman's got to pose he's got to smile for the camera. It's just, I love it. I am here for it. Go ahead.
They have this scene in Man of Steel where he flies around the curvature of the Earth, and he does almost like a backflip. This long shot of him going over the planet. That is so reminiscent of this classic Reeves-Routh Superman finale, and I love it so much. And I wish that we got that all the time.
Yeah.
There's the CG replacement though that kind of takes you out of it.
Why? That's a shot that has no need for CG. Oh, but the music hits.
Genuinely believe that was them flexing their CG muscles.
Yeah, and it was not good. It wasn't good in 2006, let alone now. The music hits though, and just you get that great sun with the clouds, and then up into space. And there was just that out of the earth. I will never get tired of this. Yeah, I'll never get tired of this shot.
Well, when I first saw this, I didn't know the importance of that moment. I didn't know that was a callback. That is something that he did at the end of every single Superman in the old ones. That was only something that I appreciated later. I genuinely didn't even think about how Superman Returns ended. I don't remember the final shot at all. Until I understood that, they ended with that. How interesting. And then it stuck in my head that they ended it with that moment.
Yeah. See, it's jumping right to, a common question you ask me. I find this movie to be a very difficult movie to ask how would I fix, because most of the problems it has are problems other people have with it, and they're problems that I understand why they're problems for other people, and I respect why they're problems for other people, but they're not problems for me. And so I struggle with really change. I mean, I would tweak it. I would, there's some pacing stuff you could tweak. I would definitely go in and like the shots where you don't need the CGI, let it just be Brown and Routh on the wire rig, do a good comp job, and it's going to look so much better. Like to do a better job knowing when and where to use your CG. like that's easy stuff to say. I do think you could structure the ending a little bit different. I think you could tighten up the middle a little bit. I mean, but it's little tweaks. There's not. And I don't say this with any asterisk. For me, I wouldn't make any major changes to this movie. I would make a few minor tweaks, but I wouldn't go in and just drastically tweak it. Even though I get the criticisms, because I like what this movie was very, very much. And even now, I mean, it's been 19 years. I've seen this movie many times. I've seen all the Zack Snyder stuff, and I actually respect a lot of what he had to do. But I like this. And what's funny is that Christopher Reeves, again, we've said this many times, it's a testament that he made one great movie, one okay movie, one, I mean, like, his movie's just like such an arrow down, but his impact was still as big as it was, is a testament to that. And that this movie, for all of its flaws, made a tribute to that. I don't think, I think that if I tried to say what I would change in any drastic way, I think I would be trying to say what I would change for other people. So there's my short answer.
I agree with you on that one. What this movie is like, I wish that there were some casting differences, like Parker Posey and Kate Bosworth, which suddenly I realize probably makes me sound really sexist.
Change
but
the women.
It's just like they weren't the right picks for that. I mean, I suppose Parker Posey she's supposed to be annoying. I just didn't like the character.
Maybe she's really effective because she's that great.
Exactly. Again, nothing against her as a person. I don't know anything what she's like. It's just I'm not a fan of her work. Kate Bosworth, she was too young. She was only like 22, 23 when she made this. Just not the right choice. Didn't have the right chutzpah. And there's things that I want to say that I want to see changed. But at the end of the day, I don't. Because I genuinely think this is the second or third best Superman movie ever made. After the original. And is it flawless? No. But this movie gives me feelings that other Superman movies just don't. Because the 2025 Superman had some amazing moments, but there's also things I'm just like, oh my gosh, why?
Yeah.
And then Man of Steel, same thing, where there's just certain moments where I have this like wince of, oof, why would they do that? And the only time this movie does something like that for me is when the weird Parker Posey break cut sequence just goes on a little bit too long, and I just get this feeling of I want this scene to end.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that I feel like genuinely I want this scene changed. The rest of it, despite, not being a big fan of Kate Bosworth's performance and whatnot, this movie it does what it was written to do. It does what it was supposed to do. And it is really just so great to the character. And it's so counter to the majority of superhero movies out there these days in that it really takes its time. And I love that. As much as I want to have like mutant Kryptonian fishmen that he can actually fight at the end, that's not the right call to make for this movie.
Yeah, like I said, I really do wish there was an alternate universe where we could have seen the follow up to this, because I just have a belief that it would have been amazing. I don't know. Obviously, you never can tell. It's sequels are so hit or miss, but the creative team got enough of the key things right that I think if they'd been like, okay, we've reestablished this, we don't have to, like now let's have a fight. I think that I think it could have been something special. I'm trying to think of who. I'm bad at thinking back this far, but who in 2006 would have been a good choice for Lois? Can you think of?
I'm trying to think. Think
of women who are kind of in that late 20s, early 30s, who I'm thinking I have no I can think of actresses now. And I'm trying to think of back then, like who would have.
I mean,
the thing is too,
I know
from that era, Erica Durance. I know she was on Smallville as Lois, but she was such a good, Lois. That's like,
such a great Lois.
would have loved to have seen her get a shot on the big screen to play Lois because she was such a great Lois.
Like, I know that The Prestige was out that year, which had Scarlett Johansson in it.
She
that
was
was
young,
like
though.
a big thing.
Yeah, but she was like 22 or
young.
something.
Was she really that young?
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah. Well, when she was in Iron Man 2, I mean, she was like in her mid 20s there, like
That's
24,
true.
25.
That's true. I mean, I remember some people talking about like Carrie Russell. She was in her 30s at that time.
Yeah,
she was
and
in
she's a
Mission
fantastic
Impossible
actress.
3.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
There was Rachel Weisz was at like the peak of her career.
Oh,
She was in like her
Interesting.
late 20s, early 30s around then, I think.
she's another really good actress. That has she's so much fun in The Mummy. Oh,
We're going
goodness.
to talk a lot about her later.
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. I mean, there was definitely some strong actresses that, they needed somebody a little bit older. They needed somebody with a little bit more spunk, but without the just the immaturity kind of thing. Somebody that I think somebody that could have conveyed hurt better.
Someone that just kind of looked like a baby. She just had such a baby face. She was
Yeah.
too cute. When you need somebody who's a little bit more beautiful or handsome, even as a woman, and maybe that makes me sound terrible. Too bad. She still looks like a baby.
But
I don't want no baby face.
Yeah, this is I'll just say this one last time. I totally understand people who this is not the style of superhero film you want, but I feel like this is just for those of us who wanted this. I'm glad this existed. My whole family is a big fan of Superman. They all love this movie. And I think that with a character like Superman, when you do have audiences that kind of want two different things, it helps to try to do your best to give them all something. But at the same time, sometimes you just have to choose. And I'm glad that my my preferences for Superman won in the filmmakers' style this time around, and we'll see. I'm for Superman 2024, I'm despite my issues with that film, I am genuinely looking forward to kind of what they might do as a follow-up, because I don't know if James Gunn's going to be directing it himself or kind of what they might do as far as fleshing out the world. I like David Cornsweet enough in the role that I'm, as much as I didn't like the movie as much as this one, I'm not like kind of going, okay, let's see what happens next. Like, I'm like, okay, no, despite all my issues, enough is here that worked that I do want to see what happens next. And it might be worse. I mean, I have no idea, but they at least got me that far. After Man of Steel, I was like, I'm not sure I want to know what happens next, especially once it was announced they were going right to Batman versus Superman. I was like, no, we're immediately jumping. It was so obvious that they were just chasing Marvel so hard, and at least this time, DC, even though they are jumping right to a kind of our fuller universe, it doesn't feel like they're trying to chase Marvel. Because Marvel's not, in their peak anymore. I mean, back when Man of Steel came out, I mean, Marvel was unstoppable. I mean, it was the, Iron Man 3 making $1 billion, point at Marvel. So, anyways.
What was the name of the actress who was in King Kong?
The
Peter Jackson King Kong.
Oh, gosh. She was.
Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts. Yeah, she's a good actress.
She would have been a good Lois Lane. She would have been about the right age at that time too.
Yeah. So,
anyway,
I'm glad we watched
real
this.
Distracted trying to think of it.
That's okay. I'm glad we watched this. I mean, let's we'll probably wrap this up because this has a longer one. We aren't. Anybody's curious? We're not going to jump right to Man of Steel anytime soon. Mostly because we're going to wait and probably do most of the Snyderverse together. I'm assuming, and we're going to take a little break from Superman. But this has been just a great. Even though 3 and 4 are rough films, it's been fun to get into Superman again in general. Like watching these movies, just enjoying kind of the the resurgence of Superman in pop culture with the release of the movie that just came out this year, and just kind of Superman becoming a big deal again has been cool to watch, and just to get back into watching a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and just people being excited about the character again. Like it's been good. It's been fun. I think when we first kind of put Superman 3 and 4 on the list, it was like, okay, we're gonna get to these movies. These are rough, but it was like, no, it's still been fun because just getting back into the character himself for all the ups and downs on film is something that I'm grateful for. So. Yeah,
and I feel like this was really like the crucible for it. Like this is a great palate cleanser for 3 and 4, but like now we can move on if we want to do sequels in the future to stuff like Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, which are like better bad sequels than Superman 4. We've gone through it. We can watch Alien versus Predator Requiem and still have some fun.
There's at least some decent action scenes in that movie.
Yeah, if you can see them.
Yes. True.
Famous special effects issue there. But anyway, I really like this movie. There are things that I would kind of tweak, but I wouldn't actually change the core of it, despite what a lot of the critics say for it. Maybe you and I are agreeing a little bit too much on this movie. We need to find something we should fight about more. I love Superman. I love this movie. This is the Superman movie that defined my entire Superman movie experiences.
Yeah. No, and this was the movie that reminded me again just how much I loved him. So this movie is super special for me. Also, glad we got to finally watch it together. Is awesome.
Yeah.
And so next week, yes, we're, as alluded to earlier, we are doing Interstellar. Do back to a one-off, and we do have a special guest. I don't want to ruin who that is, but we do have a special guest returning to the show. So excited about that. And
everybody's gonna know who that is.
Yeah, there's
We've
also
got quite a guest lineup, actually.
Yeah. Well, and we have another little surprise for next week, but we're gonna save it because it's gonna be good. It next week's episode will have an energy to it that doesn't come around very often. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Have a super time.
Good night, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow,